If I may proceed.
Please, go ahead.
Currently present are from the Procurement Service, Engineer Augusto Ilagan. Please say present when your name is called.
Video so we can see all of you. I would appreciate it very much if you would. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Director.
Mr. Mervin Ian Tangkintik.
Mr. Tangkintik.
They were here a while ago, Your Honor.
All right, okay. We'll mark him present when he appears. Go ahead.
Mr. George Mendoza.
I saw George Mendoza.
Present, Your Honor.
Thank you, George. Thank you for coming.
No. Curve
Miss
to the back.
Noraline Salvador.
Who was that?
Noraline Salvador, Your Honor.
Noraline, are you there? Please. All right.
From the Office of the Ombudsman, Warren Rex Leong, Overall Deputy Ombudsman, Your Honor.
Welcome, Mr. Leong.
Present, Your Honor. Present, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
From the Civil Service Commission, Assistant Commissioner Ariel Ronquillo.
Present, Mr. Chair, good morning po, and to all the honorable senators. Umaga po.
Ms. Cheryl Santiago.
Present, Honor. Thank you.
From the Commission on Audit, Ms. Rodora Ugay.
Ms. Santiago, can you please remain on video so I can see you? I did not even see you. Punch your screen for the video, please. Excuse me, sir? Ma'am? Huwag kayong aalis sa video. Okay.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
You're with Sasha?
Civil Service Commission, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you for coming. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
From the Commission on Audit, Ms. Rodora Ugay.
Present, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Maria,
Present.
Maria Carmelita Enriquez.
Present, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Edgardo Rivera.
Present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera.
Ms. Cheryl Tabangcura.
Present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
The chairperson, Attorney Michael Aguinaldo, sent a letter saying that he might be late because of a previous engagement. From the Bureau of Customs, Ray Leonardo Guerrero, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, present, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Guerrero is just attending an executive committee meeting, Mr. Chairman, but he will join us shortly. I'm Assistant Commissioner Vincent Maronilla, Mr. Chairman. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
From the Bureau of Internal Revenue, Attorney Cesar Dulay,
Good
Commissioner.
morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning. Hail Caesar Dulay. Good morning.
Phil Jeps, Rosa Maria Clemente.
Ms. Clemente.
He was here a while ago.
Okay. Call her again. After the round. Go ahead.
From, one moment, sir. I might. From Asia United Bank, Mr. Jemar Villar, Branch Manager.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Good morning po.
Good morning, Jem. Good morning.
From Banco de Oro, Maria Cristina Leonardo.
Present, sir. Good morning.
Welcome. Good morning.
From Land Bank of the Philippines, Ms. Aksa Ramirez.
Present, Your Honor. Good morning po.
Okay.
Attorney Chati Pauline Maceda.
Ms.
Present,
Maceda.
Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
From the Union Bank of the
Present,
Philippines,
Your Honor. Good morning.
Present, Your Honor. Inaayos lang po yung camera, Your Honor.
Mr. Conrado Bustillos.
Opo, Your Honor. Present po.
Thank you.
From Criotech Philippines and EMS Companies, Mr. Ferdinand and Mr. Fernando Ferrer.
Present, Your Honor, and good morning.
Present, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good
From
morning.
my side.
Good morning.
From New Life Pharmaceuticals, Mr. Aldas, President.
Present, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Citaldas. Good morning.
From Pharmally, Wang Tzu Yen.
Present, Mr. Chairman. Good morning.
Where are you? Oh, there. Okay, see you. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mohit Dargani.
Present, Mr. Chairman.
Twinkle Dargani.
It's Twinkle Gargani.
He was here a while ago, Your Honor.
I believe our counsel made a manifestation, Your Honor. My sister's experiencing a panic attack right now.
You know,
I'm
everybody,
not with her. I'm not with her,
everybody has
so I
panic
really don't
attacks.
know the. I
That
don't
is not
know.
an excuse.
Yeah.
We will consider what we will do with her.
If Your Honor, please. Good morning.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Attorney Don Rico Capunan, Your Honor.
I'm sorry,
Representing.
you have no personality to speak unless you speak to your client.
I was hoping to explain the absence of Miss Dargani. She just texted me, Your Honor.
Well, we heard already Mr. Dargani talk about her panic attack, and I think that should be sufficient.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sufficient to say that she informed us, but not sufficient to be absent from this meeting, from this session. I hope I'm making myself clear, Mr. Capuno.
We forwarded the medical certificate, Your Honor, as forwarded to me for the perusal of this honorable committee.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Justin Garado.
Present, Your Honor.
Mr.
Present
Garado.
po, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Lincoln Ong.
Present po, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Ong.
Miss Crisel Grace Yumago.
Good morning. Present po.
Go
Miss,
ahead.
Miss Iluminada Sebial, CPA External Auditor.
Present po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Sabial.
Yes.
From Philippine Pharma Wealth, Attorney Maylin Villanueva.
Present, Your Honor.
From Philippine Blue Cross Biotech, Mr. Benito Techico.
Can you say present, please, Mr. Techico? Is that you? You're on mute. You are on mute, sir. Mr. Techico, you are on mute.
Present, Your Honor. Present, Your Honor.
Thank you.
From Tigerfield Marketing Corporation, Mr. Albert C.
Mr. Albert C.
Present, Your Honor.
Where are
Present, Your
you?
Honor. Present, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Stevenson C.
Present, Your Honor. Good morning.
Mr. Ching Jin He.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Mr. Brian Santos Ong.
Yeah.
Present, Your Honor. Morning po.
Morning.
Attorney Wendell Abisado.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Your Honors. I'm present.
Morning, Mr. Abisado. Good morning.
Mr. Michael Yang, also known as Yang Hongming.
Present.
Hello, good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Dr. Anthony Toniliatson, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Tony, good morning.
Mr. Lin Wei Xiong was invited. He is the husband of Rose Nonolin. He sent word that he has contracted severe COVID and is hospitalized. He has left the country April 21, 2021 and has been unable to return to the Philippines since then.
Since April 21, huh?
Yes, Your Honor.
So that means long before this meeting started, is that it?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Have we confirmed that with immigration?
Your Honor.
Can we confirm that with immigration, please?
Yes, Your Honor, we will.
Thank you.
There are two guests whose oaths need to be administered to, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Ms. Ronquillo, Mr. Ronquillo, sorry, and Ms. Santiago. Could you please raise your right hand?
Can you please state where they're from? Mr. Ronquillo is with Civil Service, right?
Yes,
Both
Your
of them,
Honor.
Your Honor, are
Assistant
from
Commissioner,
Ms.
Civil
Santiago is
Service
also with Civil Service.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, please proceed. Thank you very much.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
At the request stated,
please.
both persons have had their oaths administered by the
Yes,
representative. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Did we get any of the data that we wanted, that we subpoenaed?
Your Honor, insofar as 10 seconds, Your Honor. We sent a letter to Mr. Lincoln Ong through his lawyer, addressed as well to Pharmally. Mr. Ong, insofar as the missing documents are concerned, stated that he is not participating anymore in this proceeding, nor is he submitting anything, reiterating their supposed rights under the Corporation Code on Confidentiality, which Your Honor had previously ruled as not applicable to the Senate investigation. But
Yes.
yes,
I have
Your Honor.
knowledge of that article here, Senator Dillon, the new corporation code, and that clearly states that anybody involved in graft and corruption, they will be a corporation that doesn't make sure that their people are properly instructed on ways to avoid graft and corruption, and any member of the corporation acting as intermediaries in order to commit graft and corruption are held liable. Am I correct, Senator Dillon? Sir, you're on mute.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is a correct citation. Moreover, there is nothing in the corporation code which would justify the withholding of the information that we're asking for. These are matters of public interest. These are matters submitted, being asked of them in relation to this inquiry, and this is in performance of our constitutional duty. And there is nothing in the revised corporation code. If I may state, we wrote that law, Mr. President. We see nothing there which would justify the invocation of any of its provisions. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ong. You've been forewarned. Anything else, Mr. Kimbo?
Your Honor, certain subpoena issued especially against Ms. Custodio was not served because the office, which is similar to the office of Mr. Mohitargani, says that there is no person in that office because everyone is working from home.
Well, she's got addresses, so we should serve it in her home address if necessary. And
Yes.
Mr. Delgani is claims that he is in a relationship with this woman, and that he even put her into a corporation called Business Beyond Limits. So let her be forewarned that she will be in contempt if she doesn't show up.
Yes, Your Honor.
At least her partner in that corporation, Ms. Mago, is here because they were both placed in that corporation.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anything else?
Your Honor, 5 show-cause orders were issued. One, the first against Mr. Gerald Cruz. It was not served because according to the security guard on duty, there is nobody to receive the subpoena since all employees of following group of companies are all on a work from home status. The show cause issue.
I'm sure we could be more industrious than that and find out where he lives. He has addresses
sir.
in Davao. He has addresses in other places, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, go ahead.
The show cause order issued to Lin Wei Xiong was served, and he sent the letter that I had read a while ago, Your Honor.
Yeah.
The show cause order to Rowena Candice Ruiz of the GPPB was also served. We await compliance with that show cause order. Mr. Jason Uson,
What does that mean? We await.
that he is supposed to submit a document. The document, the minutes of the back meeting and the procurement board meeting, Your Honor.
All right. Let them be forewarned as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
It is a crime to withhold documents to a duly constituted committee, court, or a committee of Congress, or even a constitutional commission. So I think you know what to do. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Second to the last is show cause order to Mr. Jason Uson. It was not served because according to the front desk receptionist of Beaufort condominiums, there is nobody in the unit to receive the order. And the order was attempted to be served twice, at 1 and then at 5 p.m. The show cause order to Mr. Xiaoxin Zhang of Tiger Phil was served. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Naputol yata signal ni Chairman, Director General.
Bottle?
We're back. I don't know if you lost yours. I lost mine here from WebEx. So we remind the technical committee to make sure that the WebEx is stays online, especially from the chairman's office and from the other members here. Let me. Anything else, Mr. Kimbo?
That is all, Your Honor. Not today.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, in relation to the report of our executive director, can I ask a few questions just on the production of documents? Nothing
sir.
substantive.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. We have requested, and the BIR has submitted to the committee electronic copies of certain documents that we requested for to be examined in executive session. We cannot read the documents. The electronic transmission has not been clear. May I request BIR Commissioner Dulay, who is present, to resend to us these documents, a clearer copy of the documents, if they don't mind. It's already with us, but we can hardly read it.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Dulay, please go ahead.
we sent hard copies not by electronic mail, but
Okay.
physical hard copies to the Office of the Senate President, consistent with our
Oh.
instructions.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that, sir. May therefore we request the good, our chairman to, through his office, to request for copies of the hard copies submitted to the office of the president so that we can have access to the same as a member of this committee.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Kimbo, you briefed me about that a couple of days ago, and was it clear copy? It wasn't a clear copy, right?
No, Your Honor. It was difficult to read, Your Honor,
Yes.
the electronic copies. But we will ensure that the clearer copies are reproduced for the members of the committee, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Dulay, can you give us that assurance, please?
Of course, Your Honor, but may we request which of the particular copies submitted are clear, because I don't think not all the copies we submitted are not clear. We will request the Director General to communicate
Yes.
with that.
Yes. Okay, we leave it at that, Mr. Chairman. The other issue is, in the last hearing, we requested for a subpoena and a subpoena duces tecum to be issued on a certain Jeff Mariano, if I recall correctly, who was pointed to as the accountant in Pharmally, and the documents that will support the financial statements submitted, particularly the cost of the sales. I'm sorry, the support documents on the sales of over 7.4 billion, and the cost of the documents to support the cost of these sales. May I know, Mr. Chairman, from our secretary, if in fact the subpoena has been issued and the result and the subpoena duces tecum, and if it has been complied with? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
May I respond, Mr. Chair?
You called you already. Go ahead.
The subpoena duces tecum addressed to Ms. Twinkle Dargani, Mr. Mohit Dargani, as well as the subpoena ad testificandum addressed to Sofia Mercedes Custodio, Ms. Crisel Grace Mago, Ms. Ira Marie Moscoso, and Mr. Jeff Mariano of Pharmally Pharmaceuticals were not served. The server attempted to serve the subpoena twice. First attempt was at 10:30 a.m. The security guard on duty of Fort Victoria Tower B informed the server that there's nobody in the unit to receive the subpoena. The server then went to the condominium administrative office, where the admin staff named Lovely instructed the server to wait for the person to receive the subpoena. After almost 2 hours of waiting, nobody came. The second attempt was at 5 p.m., where the front desk security guard said that there's nobody in the unit, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kimbo. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the information.
Well, it's obviously been a pattern that we have seen here, and I will touch on it in my preliminary remarks before I call the Senate President. With the permission of the Senate President, I'd like to go ahead and deliver some brief remarks here, if only to iterate and reiterate what has been taken up and where we're going. Mr. President, Mr. Senate President Soto, I quote from an ancient Roman historian: "Truth is often eclipsed, but never extinguished." Madalas pinagtatakpan ng katotohanan pero hindi mapupukaw o di mawawala yung ilaw ng katotohanan. Here are some uncomfortable truths. Nasa pandemya pa po tayo, 2.6 million Filipinos ay may tama ng pandemya. At although bumaba na konti yung COVID, ang lumalabas po ay sa bawat 5 kataong tinetest, isa ang lumalabas na positibo kung natetest sila adequately. Meron mga tatanong kung talaga natetest at mas hilaga pa yung tracing. Hindi nata nagagawa. We've all cooperated with this. There's no problem because that's a mutual, that's a common interest by the Department of Health and by the Red Cross and by all others who are doing the testing. Pero those are the bare facts. 5 out of 10 tested still remain positive. I just had a classmate die of COVID and sepsis, and I told him I condole with the family of my classmate Roberto Del Castillo. That's the only thing I can do for him right now. and I'll pray for his family and, of course, the repose of his soul. He's a good man. COVID-19 has so far caused 38,768 deaths. It is 38,768 deaths too many. Masikip po itong isipin. Ilang kaya dito ang matatawag na preventable deaths? Preventable dahil na kung hindi nilustay ang kaban ng bayan, siguro po ay yung nilustay na makikita sa mga overpriced supplies, sa mga komisyon, kickback, rebate, at kung ano-ano pang termino ang ginagamit ng mga mandarambong, ilang kaya ang nakapasok ng maayos at maaga sa ospital. Hindi natin alam kung maayos talaga. Dahil lumalabas nga na dinodoktor pati yung shields at pinapalitan yung expiration date. At wala pa tayong sapat na katibayan na ito ay talagang dumating dito na dinala rito. At meron tayong katibayan, however, na mukhang hindi na rin binibilang sa ilang testimonya ng mga tao rito. Ilan kaya ang di na kailangan pumila habang ilan naman ang nangamatay doon pa lang sa pila? Ilang pamilya ang nabigyan ng sapat na ayuda? Ilang health workers ay nabayaran ng maayos ng tama? Madami sanang nagawa. Pagpapatuloy po natin ang pag-iingat upang matulungan ang isa't isa ang ating mga nakatatanda, mga health workers at kaibigan, and eventually the young people in this country. At ipagpapatuloy din po ang investigasyon. At sasabihin ko lang dito ng konti, baka hindi naintindihan ni President yung Thy Kingdom Come, you nuances of a figure of speech. Sinabi ko po yung Kingdom Come dahil nakikita ko meron tayong highway ng kasinungaluhang ginagawa. Nakita nyo ngayon lang, ini-evade yung summons, nagsisinungaling at hindi nagsasabi ng totoo at lahat ng paraan tulad ng ginagawa ni Lincoln On ay umiiwas kung ano-anong batas ang sinasite. Pero hindi sila makakaligtas sapagkat ang committee, pag sinabi namin hanggang Kingdom Come, ibig sabihin, resolute. We will not leave a stone unturned. At maraming mga kababayan natin na hinihikayat tayo na tapusin hanggang saan aabot at alam na namin kung saan aabot, inaayos na lang po natin para malinaw na malinaw sa mga kababayan natin. Dito sa Blue Ribbon po, tuloy ang pag-iimbestiga. Hindi naman po nabibigo ang madla sa ginagawa ng Blue Ribbon. Ang malaman natin kung sino man ang may dapat pananagutan sa mga masiding sakit na ating naranasan lahat. Pagpapatuloy din po namin dito sa Blue Ribbon ang mga pagtatanong para makahanap tayo ng hustisya in accordance with the Constitution. We are co-equal branch of government and we have the right and the duty, more importantly, to reveal and find out the truth. At this point, I would just like to say, Mr. President, yung in-issue yung memorandum is totally unconstitutional. Wala kayong karapatan dyan. You're violating the Constitution. At walang issue ng national security dito, walang executive privilege dito, at walang diplomatic discussions as mentioned in the case of Ermita. So hindi na po ako magpapakahaba. Magaling rin naman po kayong abogado. Di umano at sanay kayong mag-abogado. Hindi po ba attorney Duterte? Nasabi ko lang po yan dahil nakakasakit ko na nakikita ko ang presidente ng buong bansa. Pagka kayo nanalo, presidente na po kayo ng buong bansa, pero ang lumalabas, pinagtatakpan nyo at pinagtatanggol nyo yung mga mandarambong at ayaw na galit kayo from the very beginning na talagang ayaw ninyong palabasin na yung mga taong dapat tumarap dito. The President cannot, however, be properly deemed an exercise of executive privilege na piniprevent yung official from appearing before Congress. Pero nasa sa inyo po yan. Kayo ang pinaka-powerful na tao dito sa Pilipinas. At nila sa pagsasalita, muna sa marami na kayong mga pinapakita na hindi dapat sabihin. And so the answer, when our ships are barely floating in uncharted waters right now, on a sea of lies, the answer is clear. We head for the eye of the storm. Lusubin ang mata ng bagyo kung saan natin matatanto ang katotohanan. We go to the heart of the corruption. We reveal the extent of the conspiracies. We expose the facts, the faces of the conspirators. Lumalabas naman po di ba? Lumalabas yung girlfriend Itong si Juan, hindi lang pala magaling magkotse ito, magaling lover boy. At ito po ay lumalabas na talagang may mga bago lumalabas na nakipagsapalaran sa bidding. Sapalaran o talagang nanalo sa bidding? Nanalo po. Ewan ko kung alam ni Michael Yang na meron kang ginawa, Mr. Dargani, na isang korporasyon kasama si Mago at kasama ang iyong girlfriend. Mas marami tayong ebidensya, mas mabuti ang mga batas na may papasa. Nakapagpasa na po kami para sa kaalaman ng madla. Nakapagpasa na po kami ng batas para magkaroon ng appropriations sa tulong nila Senator Angara at ng Senate na payagan po na magkaroon ng appropriations na masama ang budget na sigurado at magiging retroactive para doon sa mga SRA at sa mga hazard pay ng public and private healthcare workers. So meron na nagawa po itong committee itong investigation, itong iniimbestiga natin. Katotohanan lamang ang magbigay ng sapat na detalye sa mga kongresista at senador upang makagawa ng mga batas at mapaniguradong ang paggamit ng ating batas ang buwis ay maayos or wise. Kaya nga po mula nang nagsimula ang mga hearing ng Blue Ribbon, ito ang mga sumusunod. Nakapag-file na tayo ng bill, sinabi ko na po yan para sa healthcare workers. Lumalabas po ang katotohanan na gancho ang gobyerno sa bibig mismo ni Grisel Mago and no amount of denying it now kapag nailura niya na yung sinabi niya at hindi lang niya sinabi yung basta-basta, tahimik, nasa TV, nakikita in his own privacy of his own home nang sabihin niya na ginagancho nila ang gobyerno at hindi lang isang beses na inamin, dalawang beses at mapapakita natin hindi lang dalawang beses at yung ibang mga sinasabi niya at meron pa nakapagtestigo na kasama siya doon sa gumagawa ng paggagancho. Nakumpirma natin ang findings ng COA report na meron nga po talagang fraud, waste, and abuse. Pangliling lang at paggagastos ng walang katuturan at abuso ng kapangyarihan. Ipinatingin po ng DOH ang purchase ng 4 na overpriced laptops. Pinatigil nila nung malaman at tinanong namin sila ukol doon sa COA na bumibili sila ng 4 na overpriced laptops. To the credit of Assistant Secretary Tayag, pinigil niya yung pagbili. Lumalabas po, so may pakinabang rin naman pala ang COA. Ano po? Lumalabas po ang koneksyon ng presidente mismo ni Michael Yang, Pharmally at PSDBM sa mga taong merong standing warrant for criminal offenses sa ibang bansa. Yung pong Pharmally sa Taiwan. Kaya nila, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. Noong Sabado, October 2, 2011, DOH announced the suspension of deliveries from Pharmally. So may nagawa sa mga face shields at nire-review. Meron naman nagawa to the credit of Secretary Duque. 8. Witness po tayong lahat sa madaming pag-iwas at mga pagsasabi ng taliwas sa katotohanan. O dili kaya pag-divert ng ating atensyon, pag-distract sa ating atensyon sa suliraning hinaharap. Ito po yung mga kasinungalingan. Dagat nga ng kasinungalingan ang dinadaanan natin. Ang Pharmally ay napagkalooban ng bilyones na kontrata na ang kapital ay kakarampot na 625,000 pesos lamang. Bitin ko po, napakaswerte na itong Pharmally. Lahat nagabundok, kwarta ng bayan, almost at least 8.8 hanggang 12 billion pesos ang nalustay dito sa Pharmally na pinagbigyan na favorite ng PSDBM. Pero ang kanilang pera ay 625,000 pesos lamang. Umamin po under oath ang inspection staff ng PSDBM na sila po ay pinapipirma ng mga delivery inspection report na hindi nakikita ang deliveries at sa salita lamang pa na ang mga shipment ay nasa China pa. Yun ang sinabi nila. Pinapipilitan po nila Lao at Leong na exempted sila sa procurement law noong March 25, 2020 dahil sa Bayanihan 1. Isang tingin lamang po sa Bayanihan 1 at malalaman po natin ito po ang mga lawyers na ito ay gumagawa ng misleading statements. Sa Bayanihan po 1 po ay talaga nagsisinungaling na sila dyan sapagkat wala pong exemption anumang batas, Bayanihan 1 or 2 and any law na pinapayagan na wala ng due diligence. Eh di ibigay na lang natin kahit kanino. Yun na lang gawin natin para sabihin na natin, pinamimigay ang pera ng gobyerno sa mga paborito. Wala na tayong problema. Tinanong si Ong, saan galing ang pera? Iwas po ng iwas. Kapanang kapako na sasabihan. Iwas pusoy ang sinasagot. Kesyo ng utang. Kesyo humiram pero ayaw sabihin kung saan galing. Kesyo sikreto. Hindi niya parang pwedeng sabihin. Secret raw yun at secret of the trade. Hindi niya masabi kung kanino galing ng malinaw. Para hindi natin malaman kung illegal ang pinanggalingan ng pera o maaaring hindi drug money ang pinanggalingan. At hanggang umamin na siya mismo na sabi niya, ito ay galing kay Michael Yang. Si Michael Yang ang nagagaransya. Sinabi rin po ni Ginang Iluminada Sebial, nakakaawa po si Ms. Sebial, na imbis na maging transparent ang Pharmally, tumanggi daw po ang Pharmally na ibigay ang mga records ito sa kanila. Samantalang sabi naman ni Michael Yang, wala na daw siyang pakialam sa Pharmally. Pagkatapos nung humarap siya, pagkatapos namin habul-habulin yung kanyang bahay, at finally humarap siya on the third summons, at sinabi niya, ito, wala na daw siyang pakialam sa Pharmally, pagkatapos siyang ipakilala ito sa presidente noong March 2017. Ito po ay pawang kasinungalingan ayon kay Lincoln Ong sapagkat kinailangan ng Pharmally ng pera mula kay Michael Yang na sabi niya ay nagagaransya at nakakasiguro tayong malaking-malaki kuno ang nilabas sa pera, di umano, kung naglabas talaga ng pera. Pero lumalabas talaga, sinungaling itong si Michael Yang sapagkat sinabi niya wala na siyang pakialam pero lumabas, malaki ang pakialam niya at pakinabang. Itinanggi nila Mojit Dargani ang Pharmally na kailangan nilang magbayad ng buwis sa 18 million lang na mamahaling kotse na Lamborghini na binigay niya sa kanyang bilang isang regalo sa kanyang mabunying kapatid na si Twinkle. Mabuti na lang po at saklaw ang mga panlulokong yan ng batas na sinasabing wala pong pinagkaiba ang gift sa donation na meron po dapat buwis na bayaran. At kahit na po, sabi niya, kinuha niya bilang advance na dapat siya ay may kasalutan at kung di ako nagkakamali, memory serves correct, ay dapat nagbayad sila ng documentary stamp tax sa lahat ng kasunduan na ganyan. Pag nag-advance ka, meron kang babayaran. Tandaan din po natin itinanggi ni Mojit Dargani na siya po ay nagsilbi sa ating gobyerno. Wow, nakalagay yon sa LinkedIn. Sa kanyang nakalagay sa LinkedIn. Walang eksplanasyon, simple lang. Simpleng pagtanggi lamang. Saka na lang siya nag-explain matapos siyang napakita ni Senator Ontiveros ang social media page ni Mojit Dargani kung saan dineklara niya na siya raw ay special advisor to the Office of the Presidential Economic Advisor. In that sense, magkasama sila ni Lincoln Ong, parehong special assist advisor to the Office of the Presidential Economic Advisor. Huwag po natin habang nag-uusapan niya, kalimutan ang mga litrato nila Michael Yang, Lincoln Ong, at ni Wang dun sa Pharmally, sa presidente at saka sa Malacanang o dun sa meeting nila na natugurian, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Tatlo sila na mukhang maganda ang kanilang pag-uusapan. At sinasabi rin po nitong si Presidential Economic Advisor na hindi niya sinasabi kaagad yun, pero sinabi niya rin na siya ay isang interpreter. Nung tanongin natin siya kung saan galing ang kanyang pera, yan ang mga litrato, hindi pwedeng pagkaila. At yan ho ay sinasabi na siya raw ay interpreter ni Michael Yang. Mayaman naman talaga ito si Lincoln Ong. Balita ko ito si Lincoln Ong ay scion ng isang malaking cement company na naandyan sa Pangasinan. Sinusuri po natin yan ngayon. Sabi ni Michael Yang, nung may nagsabi nang siya ay tumulong di umano sa Pharmally na siya ay naggaransya lamang. Later, napakilala na siya na maraming kanyang supplier. Yung mga pangalan ay naandito. Si Miao Miao, si Xin Tui, Su Tianyun, Chang Ahong, Miao Miao. Hindi ko alam kung pusa yan o aso o ano man yan. Pero yan ang mga pangalan ang sinasabi niya. At sa mas kaula-unang pa, nagpautang sabi ni Wang Suyan, inamin na niya na pinautang sila ni Michael Yang. So sinungaling si Michael Yang na sinabi niya wala na siyang pakialam matapos yung meeting na yan. Magkano yung pinautang? Hindi sinasabi. Magkano yung interest? Hindi pa sinasabi. Magkano ang kita? Nagbayad ba ng buwis na tama? May kasalutan ba yan? At palitan ng pera, dapat may kasalutan yan at dapat may konting bayad ng buwis yan. Dapat nilang bayaran. Sabi ni Mago, ayoko na sana sabihin to, pero hindi na bale. Pinalitan niya na, sinabi niya na, mahirap nang bawiin yan, Miss Mago. I'm sorry, Paulinyan ka pa naman, ba't nagkaganyan ka? But anyway, pagdarasal ka na lang namin. Sana ligtas ka dyan sa mga bago mong kasama. At niloko mo pa kami na makikipagkita ka pa kami kunyari. At pagkatapos sabi mo, haharap ka dahil you were safe. Papasalamat ka sa amin na nag-alala kami. Yung pala, dyan ka rin naman pala babagsak sa kampon ng Pharmally at ng iba pang kampon. Itong investigasyon na ito ay mahantulad na pagbabalat ng sibuyas. Habang binabalatan po, umiiyak, lumuluha tayo. Pero beyond that, lumuluha ang bansa sapagkat talagang kinukuha ang salapi ng bayan. Tanggal ka ng tanggal, na bawat layer, nasasyak ka, nagugulat ka, at lumalabas ay naluluha tayo sa abdi ng mga nadidiskubre. Haplit ng kasinungalingan, haplit ng mga pagnanakaw at pangdarambong. Ating habang palalim tayo ng palalim, papaloob sa sibuyas. Pati yung mga ginagawa nila na pagkatapos isipin nyo, itong silaw, ang kanya palang kuwan ay may termino. Yung termino niya, pag nagawa na yun, nakuha na yung mga pera, ay bigla magre-resign at mag-a-apply sa ombudsman. At nung nagkaring mainit sa ombudsman, umatras siya, ang nilagay naman yung kanyang Director for Procurement na walang iba kundi si Mr. Leong. Totoo po yan. Siya po ang na-appoint ng Pangulo doon sa ombudsman. Bakit importante malaman kung saan galing at saan pumunta ang pera? Legal ba yon? Nagpaluwal ba ang gobyerno? Nagamit ba sa maayos ang pinaghirapang pera ng bayan na binayad nila sa mga obis? O ito ba ay nawaldas lang sa pagpuno ng mga bulsa ng mga sakim? Sugat-sugatan na po ang tao sa kasinungalingan. Dumurugo na ang puso ng bayan. Kumita na sila. May mga kotse na sila. Hindi ba may kukubli ang gagaling ng kotse nila. Ang gaganda at mamahalin. Meron po tayo tinatawag sa Civil Code, conspicuous consumption in times of crisis. May crisis po tayo. Nakuha pa nilang bumili. Parang yung presidente at saka si Secretary Bongo, nung matapos sila mag-file ng candidacy, hindi ko maintindihan ba't sila nagpunta sa isang gusali na nagtitinda ng mamahaling mga relo doon sa isang mamahaling na department store. Wala na ba tayo mga budhi, mga kaibigan? Di ba natin nalalaman na hihirapan ng mga tao? Pupunta pa tayo doon sa lugar na mararangya. Ang nakakabili lang ay talagang mga may pera, hindi natin alam kung saan galing. Nagugulat si Senator Villanueva, nakita ko biglang pumihit sa mukha ko nung sinabi ko yan. Hindi ka na dapat magulat sapagkat tatapusin ko itong opening remarks as I began with an ancient Roman wisdom for our witnesses. Sabi ni Cicero, isang matandang senador ng Romano, and I quote, "The habit of lying paves way to perjury." Yung pong tuloy-tuloy na pagsisinungaling na naging habito ay tuloy-tuloy sa isang crime na ang tinatawag dyan ay perjury. He who has once deviated from the truth, yung talagang hindi mo na sinasabi katotohanan, usually commits perjury with as little scruple as he would tell a lie, Mr. President. Mahirap po yan sapagkat nakikita natin, hindi may tatanggi gabi-gabi, yung kanyang tell the people, tell Senator Gordon, tell Senator Dillon, tell Senator Tiveros, tell Senator Lacson, pati yung mga buhok namin, tiyan namin, i-insultuin mo. Napaka-unpresidential. Nakakasuklam. Makinig po sana tayo sa bulong ng Diyos, imbis na minumura natin ang Panginoon. Makinig po kayo sa inyong mga konsensya kung may natitira pa na sa mga tinuro sa inyo ng inyong mga magulang at sa ating mga mamamayan. Na tila, sinasabi pa ng SWS, pinagmamalaki pa, na tayo raw mga Pilipino, 45% ay hindi makapagsalita dahil natatakot tayo. Ano yung kakatakot nyo? Sabihin ko lang sa inyo, cowards die, sabi ni Shakespeare, 1,000 deaths. But those who speak the truth die but once. Yan lang ang gusto ko sabihin sa inyo. Could all this now, ang tanong ko ito, malaking tanong ito. Nabigay ko na sa inyo summary halos ng mga nangyayari dito. Tanong ko ngayon sa bayan, ito ba mangyayari kung walang direktor? Kung walang powerful person behind this? Sino kaya? Kaya ba ni Ong yan? Interpreter? Kaya ba nitong mga Gargani? Kaya ba ito ni Lau na inappoint ng Pangulo at ni Leong? Tapos aalis, tapos maka-appoint ulit ng ombudsman? Sino lang ang pwedeng gumawa niyan? Sino ba ang kahol ng kahol na nagmumura gabi-gabi ting aharap doon na hindi na sinasabi ko ano sitwasyon ng ating bansa na nahihirapan na? Sino po ba kundi ang ating presidente na hinalal ng bayan para ipagtanggol ang bayan? Na nakalimutan na lahat ng presidente kahit anong sama, meron pa rin konsyensya na ipagtanggol ang bayan sa mga pandarambong. Ikaw na rin nagsasabi, Mr. President. At ngayon, sabi mo, isang whiff of corruption, hindi mo paparaanin. Ito na, mga tao yan, inappoint mo. Pero sa iyo kasi, pag tao mo, tao mo. Pati sundalo mo namin, inangkin mo na eh. Inangkin mo na yung sundalo. Kayo na lang ang may-ari ng sundalo at ng mga pulis. Mga pulis ko, mga sundalo ko. Nakakahiya kayo, Mr. President. Hindi tama yung ginagawa ninyo. You're a bad example for children. Your cursing is a bad example for children and the people of this country. You're really disrespecting women. Kumakain ka, pipilitin mong hipuan yung iyong maid, pinapakita mo pa doon sa pamilya mo, nakakahiya, Mr. President. Kaya sabi ko, you do not deserve to be president of any nation. I'm sorry, Mr. President. Once upon a time, maaaring ko sabihin na talaga ng mayor tayo, makakilala tayo, bumotor ka pa, pupunta ka pa sa Subic, at once upon a time, I may have considered you my friend. But you know what, Mr. President, sabi mo nga, ikaw, hindi mo ako tutunghayan, hindi mo ako titigilan, pati ngayon, Senator Grilon, lumalabas ka pa ng kung ano-ano sinasabi mo. Sasabihin ko lang sa inyo, I did not lose anything when you lost my friendship. I did not lose anything. Ikaw ang nawalan because wala ka ng kaibigan na matitino, Mr. President. Now, hindi mangyayari ito kung hindi ka kumukumpas. Hindi mangyayari ito kung hindi mo pinagtatanggol. Hindi mangyayari ito na wala ka ng ginawa na hindi pagtanggol ang tao, ang pinagtatanggol mo si Yang. Mahal na mahal mo si Yang. Ang gaganda pa ng litrato nyo. Magkatabi pa kayo sa aeroplano, magkatabi kayo sa lamesa. Kung nag-holding hands kayo sa ilalim, hindi naman siguro, pero macho kayo eh. Pero sabihin ko lang sa inyo, ayoko nang puntahan yan dahil kumisan, naghahalo ang aking emosyon sa ginagawa ninyo. Hindi ko akalain na ang bayan natin ay nagkaroon ng isang pangulong katulad niya. The cards have been stacked against us, Mr. President. You are the most powerful man in the country. You have control of media, Channel 4. You have control of lahat ng broadcasting. Kaya nyo kaming pasinungalingan, lahat na sasabihin namin. Pero I'll tell you, Mr. President, mananalo kayo sandali. Sabi nga ni Lincoln, I think it was Lincoln who said, you can fool some of the people some of the time. You can fool all of the people some of the time. Mr. President, you cannot fool the people all the time. And Mr. President, the people are coming for you. Malalaman at malalaman nila ang katotohanan, Mr. President. Nalalaman na nila ngayon. Tignan ninyo, bigla kayong umatras. Sumunod kayo sa tao, tinalo kayo ng Senate President ng bansang ito. Tumakbo kayong Vice President, tinalo kayo sa survey. Survey lang ho yun, Mr. President. Pwede pa niyong dayain later on yun. Pero natalo kayo ng Senate President ng Republika ng Pilipinas. Sapagkat naninindigan kami lahat dito para sa bansa. Now, Mr. President, hindi natin gagawin personal ito. Ang laban dito ay laban ng tao. Kaya ngayon, paglaban natin ng tao, even as we say this, you vociferously, irrationally, and strangely defend these people. I sometimes wonder whether you still have bouts of lucid interval, Mr. President. And therefore, these committee hearings will continue as we discover malfeasance and misfeasance. Hindi lang pagdidepensa sa mga tauhan ninyo, inatake din nyo ang COA. inatake din nyo ang Senado. Hindi nyo maikakailayan. Sige, sabihin nyo, hindi nyo inatake ang COA. Sabihin nyo ngayon, hindi ko inatake ang COA. Mahalaga ang COA sapagkat yan ang naghahanap ng mga katiwalian. Ako haharap sa COA. Inaatake nyo ako doon sa Senate, sa Subic. Harapin ko po yan. Kaya ko sagutin yan. Wala akong dapat ikaya sapagkat yumaman po ang bansa nung ako magsimula sa Subic. Yumaman po. Dumami ang trabaho. Lahat na walang trabaho. Giniba kami ng pinatubo. Wala akong dapat ikahiya sa inyo and I don't have to answer to you of all people. I can answer all that COA thing. At huwag kayong magsinungaling. The case is SBA, COA versus SBMA. Wala po Richard Gordon doon. Yung SBMA po, totoo, kasama ako doon. Kasama rin po yung COO. Kasama rin po yung secretary, yung director ng mga tinatawag nating mga opisina doon. Kasama rin po yung bumibili ng gasolina. Kasama rin po yung nagbibiyahe. Lahat po yan. Ba't naman nyo akong sisingilin? Kung may ninakaw po ko, wala po ako ninanakaw. Baka kayo, meron. Kayo magpaliwanag. Then inamin nyo na rin naman at some point in time doon sa Chamber of Commerce ng Chinese Chamber. At sinabi nyo, at makikita ko kung pwede kong sabihin sa inyo yung sinabi nyo, sino ba nagmamalinis? Ako rin. Marami rin akong kinurakot, sabi nyo ganon. At ang sabi nyo, to be very exact, I hate corruption. Hindi ako magmamalinis. Marami rin akong nanakaw, pero naubos na. So wala na. Quote unquote, pahayag ng Pangulo ng tinugunan ng tawanan ng mga dumalo sa Fiesta Pavilion, Manila Hotel kahapon. Iyan ang lumabas sa pahayagan. Ulitin ko. Sabi nyo, and I quote, I hate corruption. Hindi ako magmamalinis. Tama. Marami rin akong nanakaw. Kayo nagsabi niyan, hindi ako. Marami rin akong nanakaw, sabi nyo, pero naubos na. So, wala na. Close quotes. Sa nahuli ang isda, sa bibig. At kung malaking isda ang nahuli, nagpupamiglas, talagang lahat ginagawa para manakit. So, mga kasama, yung araw na ito, Mr. President, ito yung ginawa namin. Kailangan ng malaking pera para sa bakuna. Kailangan ng pera para sa testing. Kailangan ng pera para sa ayuda. Ang hirap pumasok sa ospital dahil kulang ang kama, kulang ang ospital, at namamatay na ang mga tao. Tulad ng sinabi ko, nasa sepsis na sa labas. Marami nagugutom na kailangan ng kalinga. Marami nagkakasakit na di makapasok sa ospital. Maraming namamatay na di man lang nakikita ng doktor. Lugmok ang sambayanan. Habang magpapasasa ang mga mandarambong sa kanilang mga mamahaling sasakyan at magagarang bahay at mga sasakyan, Mr. President, namamayagpak sila dahil binaback up ninyo itong mga mandarambong na ito. Dumarami ang walang trabaho. Anong dumarami? Ito ang pinaka-lowest natin sa GDP natin since 1947, if I'm not mistaken, or 1949. Pero pakita na mas mahalaga ang kapakanan ng ordinaryong Pilipino kaysa mga kaibigan ninyong mga makapangyarihan at nag-aharing dayuhan. Yan ang may pagbabalaki nyo. Yan ang accomplishment ni Attorney Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Ang pagmalaki nyo na kayo ay tumitindig sa inyong mga kaibigan na mga banyaga na humuhutot. Meron pa ako dapat ipakita, hindi ko napapakita, nakita na ng tao. Nasabi nyo, salaga saksakan ng yaman kaya kayo dumidikit sa China. Pinagbili nyo na, sinagasaan na mga tao natin ng barko. Inalipos na lahat ang ating mga dagat na kinuha ng ating mga isda at pati ba pawang langis. Makikiparte pa kayo sa kanila. Such a shame, Mr. President. So, huwag nyo lang pong babasusin, Mr. President, ang talino ng taong bayan. Yan ang ginagawa nyo palagi ngayon. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I thank you for your patience. I'm sorry I have to say all this because sobra na. Tama na, pati Constitution, binabaliktad na. Sa pagsisinungaling lahat na gumagawa, ang tawag po dyan, naglulubid ng buhangin. Itong mga barkada nyo rito. Alam nyo ba, pag naglubid kayo ng buhangin, hindi nyo pwedeng gawin lubid ng buhangin sapagkat nalulusaw yung buhangin. Ginoong abogado Duterte. Nalulusaw yan sapagkat pawang walang pinaninindigan na katotohanan. And so, Mr. President, again, I prayed for you last night. I will pray for you again. And I will tell you, maybe God will still save you because God is good. Thank you very much and God bless the Republic of the Philippines. I now recognize Senator Soto, after which I will recognize immediately Senator Tolentino. I'm sorry, Senator Lacson. Thank you very much. The Honorable Senate President Soto is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am just here to listen. I was tempted earlier to comment on some unworthy comments made on the committee and some of our statements here, but we'll just ignore them and listen to the hearing. Go ahead then. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I wish I had your patience and forbearance. But sometimes, it's about time that people know the truth. Dapat alam nila kung ano ang hinaharap nila. Kung hindi natin tayo tatahimik, kung hindi nila malalaman. And that's why you have ratings better than him, Mr. Senate President. Thank you. Senator Lacson, sorry for the preliminary remarks. It is your turn to speak. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This will be a very short manifestation. Please allow me to play a video of our September 24 committee hearing, if only to belie the testimony of Ms. Crisel Mago in the House of Representatives yesterday, that her admission before this committee in relation to the issue of changing the production stickers of face shields was a pressured response. And I'd like to advise Ms. Mago to watch very, very closely and very carefully. Thank you. Here it is, Mr. Chairman. It's just a 1.5-minute video. No, kanina merong claim, yung napanood nyo naman siguro yung video na pinalabas ni Senator Ontiveros, di ba? And your name was prominently mentioned. How would you respond to that?
Mr. Chairman, I would have to watch the video again because I believe there are a few or even more allegations that I'm not sure if I heard it correctly. But then with the regards to the changing of the stickers of the items, my response would be that this was a supply concern. I raised this concern to our management, and that was the solution that was given to us.
As a follow-up, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead,
who
sir.
ordered you to give that instruction to the warehouse man? Since you admitted already that you gave the instruction, now who instructed you to give that instruction? I suppose it was not in your on your own initiative that you gave that instruction, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Who instructed you?
Instructions came from our management po.
Who particularly?
I received the instructions from the PPC management, particularly Mr. Mohit Durgani.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, you be the judge, Mr. Chairman. If that was a pressured response, and if she was bullied by this representation, when she admitted that it was Mohit Dargani who gave her the instructions to have the production stickers changed. So that's all, Mr. Chairman, for my manifestation.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Lacson. I was hoping I could catch up, but I don't think we need her anymore because she's already said what she said. And I'm glad that you showed, just for the memory of our people, I could also show that she said, were you in fact, you were swindling the government? And he said, yes. And then, Senator Pangilinan also joined in and she also admitted that. So, walang tulak, walang pananakot. She said that in a very calm way. She was inside her apartment. There was nobody there to intimidate her. But anyway, I really am sorry for what has happened to her. Yes, Senator Ontiveros, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may also, like Senping, make a brief manifestation. Mr. Chairman, I'm aware that the other house has raised questions about my witness not presenting himself before us. Una po, I would like to repeat in our hearing that he executed an affidavit under oath, and we submitted this to the good chairman. Secondly, the witness has given us permission to share these screenshots. Siya po ay natatakot para sa kanyang buhay dahil mayroon pong nakamotor na pinaghahanap siya. And as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Chairman, the witness's statement was corroborated by Ms. Mago's own unrehearsed statement before this chamber. So I would just like these threats to be placed on the record po, Mr. Chairman. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
That are you referring to na hinahanap siya ng dalawang nakamotorsiklo? Yan ba pinapakita ninyo?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, yun po yung nakapakita sa the couple of screenshots na nung isang gabi mayroong dalawang nakamotor na pinaghahanap siya at nag-aalok ng 2,000 piso sa isang tao para ituro kung saan siya nakatira, Mr. Chairman. Kaya po siya natatakot para sa kanyang buhay, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Shall we now, your observation is already in the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
They have done everything to toward the investigation. We shall now proceed in the order of last week. It is Senator. Sino ba? Senator Pimentel. Senator Pimentel, are you there? Senator Pimentel? And Senator Tolentino. You were not able to cross to interpolate last time, so you are.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just unmute the other gadget. This has something to do with the DILG hearing. So, yes, Mr. Chairman.
Ilang porsyento po yung napapalabas nyo?
Mr. Chairman, can I have the representative of, if the Civil Service Commission is present, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, you have Ms. Bam and Mr. Assistant Civil Service Commissioner Ariel Ronquillo and Ms. Cheryl Santiago. Cheryl Bam.
Any representative, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, she's there. Assistant Commissioner Ariel Ronquillo.
Assistant Commissioner,
Yes,
can
sir.
you wait so I can see you? As Assistant Commissioner, ito pong pag-uusap ngayon sa simula't simula pa, and this was also mentioned by Senator Lacson during the last hearing, touched on the peculiarity of having OICs. Ito pong si Lau ay OIC, pero siya po, si Mr. Lau ay USEC. So, is there any current circular concerning this insofar as civil service is concerned? Is this allowed?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Senator Tolentino. Opo, ito po ay nakapaloob sa ating Omnibus Laws and Appointments and other human resource actions. Yung pong provision natin pertaining to designation ay nasa Section 13 ng ating Omnibus Rules at allowed po doon ang designation as OIC kahit po kahit po ano yung position, because by definition a designation is simply an imposition of additional duties.
Yes, I agree, Assistant Commissioner. But is there a time frame here? How long should you be occupying that position, and the concomitant powers that should be given to you? Are you just a caretaker, or can you have a signing authority as if you're the head of the department?
Okay, Mr. Chair, may I clarify po, no? There are two kinds of designation under the rules. One is as an OIC, and the other one is in an acting capacity. If you are an OIC, designated as an OIC, your function involves administrative in nature. Nakalagay po dito sa ating rules, pag OIC ka, sandali lang po.
Hindi po kaya administrative in nature lahat?
Hindi po. Pagka po kasi
administrative body.
kapag po OIC, the purpose of having an OIC is simply to take care of the administrative functions of the office. And usually, the tasks given are routinary. It does not involve discretion. Unless the designation as an OIC specifically includes that as part of the functions. Iba po yung designation as acting, kasi kapag acting, you practically make the acting person as the incumbent of that position, and therefore he can do everything.
The reason why I asked that, Assistant Commissioner, is because we're now in an election period, a lot of the incumbent will be running, and perhaps there will be no time for the appointment of a person that would hold an office in a permanent capacity, for instance, cabinet members that will be subjected to CA. So sa ngayon po, meron po ba tayong pagkakaiba, nabanggit nyo yung duties, yung discretion, appointment po yan, doon sa pagpirma, yung amount, is there a cap? Is there a limit? Is there a threshold kung magkano? So kung wala po siguro, Assistant Commissioner, at sa tingin ko wala, binasa ko lahat yung nilalaman ng batas, it's with all due respect, as a constitutional body, it is incumbent upon the Civil Service Commission to come up with a circular defining for that purpose the exact role of an OIC, an acting, the one in an acting capacity. And Mr. Chairman, relative to this, I propose an amendment to Section 27, Chapter 5 of the Administrative Code, which will define and limit the powers of an officer in charge or those positions with temporary appointments. The reason, Mr. President, is napakagulo po talaga nito. You don't have just an OIC in the national government, but even in local governments. And Mr. Assistant Commissioner, perhaps there should also be a circular emanating from your end that would inform you if a person acting as an OIC was indeed designated. When there is a new appointment, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to take your oath. And the appointment will mention that you have to furnish the Civil Service Commission copy of that oath. Is there a requirement that when an OIC is designated as an OIC, that he also takes an oath, and the copy of an oath will be furnished to the Civil Service Commission as a constitutional body?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, the appointments that are being furnished to the commission are those of appointments. Designations are orders of designations are not actually given to us.
So hindi ko kaya tama ngayon na bigyan din kayo ng kopya ng mga designations para alam nyo?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I think that's a very good idea so that we can monitor effectively the correct application of our rules on designation.
And would you agree, Mr. Assistant Commissioner, that there is no need for a legislation concerning this, and all you have to do is issue a circular concerning this?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, I think the Commission, being the central HR of the entire government, has the power to make that directive to all agencies of the government.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Commissioner. I would love to have Secretary Duque as a resource person, because he was also a former chairman of the Civil Service Commission, and the expertise he must have gained from that position would clarify all of this. Salamat po, Mr. Assistant Commissioner. So, Mr. Chairman, Section 27, Chapter 5, the Administrative Code of 1987 should be amended, and that should include OICs with limited powers, limited signing authority, and time-bound, Mr. Chairman. Can I ask for the Civil Commission on Audit Chairman, Mr. Chair? Chairman Aguinaldo.
Chairman Aguinaldo, is he here already?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Chairman, yes, I'm here.
Chairman Aguinaldo, you recognized.
Mr. Chairman, Chairman Aguinaldo, for the nth time, I've heard this. The COA findings focus not on overpricing, but on inventory management issues. Am I correct, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Chairman.
So when you mention inventory management issues, are you telling the DOH or even other government agencies that there appears to be no system of automated warehousing, cloud-based warehousing inventory system that would really ensure the non-wastage of resources, as well as have a proper warehousing implementation for all goods procured by an entity? And this includes local government units. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, that would be, Mr. Chairman, that would be one of the implications or the reasons for that finding.
And are you with me, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, similar to the question I asked the Civil Service Commission, are you with me that there is no need for an amendatory law concerning this, and the Commission on Audit can just issue a circular requiring all local government units, all national government agencies, to include the DepEd, to have an automated warehousing system in place that can be audited by the COA.
I'm not sure if it's just the Commission on Audit that would have that authority. Perhaps jointly with the Government Policy Procurement Board. But I mean, it's something we could inspect and take a look at. I think it's very wise, especially in this day and age. And I believe there are several bills that are pushing for more automation in government, and this certainly could be one of those. Logistics issues are usually come up in observations for these agencies that are involved in procurement and distribution. So that's something we could look at. I'm not sure if it's just the Commission on Audit alone, maybe with some other agencies.
So
of
indeed,
government.
Mr. Chairman, there is really a perceived gap, a flaw in our existing legal system. And I would probably parallel this with the existing local government regulations, and this includes perhaps the General Services Office or officer under the local government code. They still don't have that warehousing function, because that used to be lodged before the city or municipal treasurer's office. Am I correct?
That's my understanding as well, Mr. Chairman.
Your nod and concurrence probably would entail an amendment to the local government code that would enhance and include the warehousing functions for the General Services Officer, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, can I go to the GPPB? I'll do this in a rapid fire fashion. This is my favorite because apparently the root cause of all of this is the GPPB. Is the GPPB head around, Mr. Chairman?
Director General, did you see him earlier?
Anybody from DBM, GPBB, Mr. Chairman?
No, I'm afraid not.
Anybody from the DBM that can perhaps explain the role of the GPPB?
The acting department secretary there wrote that he had to take she had to take medical undertake medical procedures because I think she has cancer, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm
Both
sorry
cancer.
to note. I'm sorry to note that, Mr. President. But somebody's answering, Mr. Chairman.
The president has made sure that there would be nobody who would be coming today.
Because, Mr. Chairman,
That's why. What do you think about that? You're a lawyer like me.
Mr. Chairman, if I really am passionate with this issue, because the root cause of all of this is the functions of the GPPB. I've been saying this over and over again, that the GPPB was able to mangle, dissect, and usurp the powers of the Congress by making IRRs. The IRRs, I've studied this, Mr. Chairman, that the IRRs they've made has run to more than 20. It's now 21. Then that's the only government agency that I've seen so far in my entire life that has made 21 IRRs for a single law, Republic Act 9184, or the Procurement Act, Mr. Chairman. And again, I find this peculiar, and I find a big lacuna here and a gap, because under the law, which was passed 2003, we're supposed to have a special joint congressional oversight committee, and that expired 2005, functus officios. And they took advantage of that by crafting IRRs from 2008 to 2021, almost yearly or twice a year or thrice a year. And that includes the issue at hand, the common use equipments that this committee is tackling. So, Mr. Chairman, even without the presence of the GPPB, and this has become my crusade, and I've delivered a privileged speech concerning this, I propose to amend Section 63, Section 14, 74, and 75 of Republic Act 9184 and reconstitute the Congressional Oversight Committee. This is a special oversight committee that will review the amendments to the IRR of the GPPB to forestall and prevent the occurrence of situations like this, because the previous intent of the Congress was really to craft the IRR once and have that approved by the President. But what happened then, Mr. Chairman, was that they crafted, revised, defaced, mangled the law in such a way that they are now the ones enacting legislation when it comes to procurement. So, sayang po, wala dito yung GPPB. I would have asked several questions, but I propose to file a measure concerning that, Mr. Chairman, within this week. Mr. Chairman, can I ask the president, is the DTI present? Have we invited the DTI? Is there a DTI here? Anybody from the trade and industry?
Senator Jalan, you're recognized. You're on mute, sir.
If I may I request Senator Tolentino, since he is considered an ally of the President, for the President to revoke this circular, unconstitutional as it is, which barred all government officials from appearing in our committee. That is why Senator Tolentino, all the government officials that they are looking for are not here, because they were barred.
I'm not aware of a circular. I just read some newspaper anecdotal reports because I was looking at my other gadget attending a budget hearing. So, having said that, Mr. Chairman, if the DTI would have been present, I would have asked them, and I would like to lay this on as part of the records. I would have asked them to clarify as to the existence of our flag law. There is a flag law, Republic Act 138, and this can be laid side by side with our WTO commitments. We're not prevented. And Mr. President, for the information of this committee, let it be known, and I reiterate this, Mr. Chairman, that as early as October 3, 2019, 2 years to be exact, this representation filed Senate Bill 1102 entitled An Act Amending the Flag Law that would promote a Filipino first procurement policy. Had it been, with all due respect, had it been acted upon even before the pandemic, we could have purchased from local suppliers, Mr. President. So gusto ko lang pong ilabas po yan sa committee ito para malaman na may ginawa rin po naman ang inyong abang lingkod. Mr. President, as part of my proposals, Mr. President, wala pala akong matatanong na dito. Babanggitin ko na lang ito. As part of my proposals, Mr. President, I would have wanted, and I propose to amend Section 50. It's very hard to have a monologue, Mr. President. Sayang, dalawa pa naman yung laptop ko. I propose to amend Section 53 of Republic Act 9194, 9184, Mr. President, I'm sorry, to include the net financial capacity provision as one of the requirements for all prospective bidders. And that would include emergency situations, Mr. President. This would ensure that all those bidding would have the necessary financial capacity. And this is one of the gist that we've been, this committee has been tackling ever since, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Senator Lacson is recognized.
It's just for the information of Senator Tolentino, since he said he's not aware, no? I'll just read a portion of the memorandum from the Executive Secretary dated October 4. No, very quick lang. Sinabi rito, and in view of Article 2, Section 15 of the 1987 Constitution on the protection and promotion by the state of the right to health of the people, the President has directed, no, naka-underscore, naka-emphasize, all officials and employees of the Executive Department to no longer appear before or attend the above-mentioned Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearings, effective immediately. Instead, they shall focus all their time and effort on the implementation of measures to address the current state of calamity on account of COVID-19 and in carrying out their other functions. So just for the record, Mr. Chairman, and for the information of Senator Tolentino.
Yes, Your Honor. Also, for the information of Senator Tolentino, if you look at Bayanihan 2, Section 4, it says that provided that preference on suppliers should be given to Philippine companies, Mr. President, Philippine manufacturers. It's there. And I quote, provided that to ensure adequate and responsive supply of critical products, the government as procuring entity shall give preference and procure products, materials, and supplies produced, made, or manufactured in the Philippines. For this purpose, the DTI, tama yung tanong nyo, through negosyo standards shall coordinate the availment of relevant credit and training programs under this act to promote and facilitate domestic supply. And if the PITC were doing its job, they would have made sure that there were adequate suppliers from the Philippines, and they could have assisted. Just a point of information.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I never realized that I will have this time all by myself. But further, Mr. Chairman, as part of my proposals, I would have asked some government officials. It appears that I'm now asking myself. I propose to amend Section 9. Civil Service Commission is listening. I propose to amend Section 9.
Senator Tolentino, with all due respect, you know, they don't come here physically. They're in their offices. And they work from their offices or at home, Mr. President. So this is not only unconstitutional, but very impractical and really smells like somebody's trying to cover up at the very least. Go ahead, Senator Duran.
Yes. Yes, I just was just wondering if the circular limited to banning government employees from Senate hearings? Only in the Senate? What about in the House? Senator Lacson, would you clarify? Can you read again to that portion that you read earlier?
The directive or the memorandum order pertains
Yes.
only to this particular Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearings.
Okay. Senate, yes. So it does not cover the House.
Senate, this particular Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing. Ito
So
lang specific, Gordon is specific.
This is what you call the Gordon Law or the Gordon Memo, which is only for the Senate Blue Ribbon, where it does not cover the House particularly.
No, Your Honor, not all Blue Ribbon Committee hearings. This particular Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearings that we're conducting. So this is Gordon specific.
Well, this is also Duterte specific. Yes, we did the quarrel between me and
No,
him. And
but just on a serious note, this has all the red flags of unconstitutionality. It only covers the House, the Senate. It only covers the Blue Ribbon. It does not cover other Blue Ribbon hearings, but only this particular Blue Ribbon hearing. This is really, if you want to call it, I cannot see any other memorandum as blatantly unconstitutional as what we have before us. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, the one affected is Senator Tolentino, because he has all the questions on government officials who are banned from coming to this hearing, and in total contravention of the Ermita ruling in 2006 or 7, or six, which we brought up to the Supreme Court when we were the Senate President. And again, as pointed out by Senator Gordon in his opening remarks, this does not involve national security. This does not involve diplomatic secrets or military secrets. And therefore, the appearance before this committee cannot be barred, much less only for this particular hearing. As Senator Lacson pointed out, this is Gordon specific.
Mr.
It's
Chairman,
really, yes.
Mr. Chairman, what will happen to BIR Commissioner Dulay? He just defied the order of the President.
This is no laughing matter, if I may remind my colleagues, and I laugh with you, but I cry with you also. Even the the Philippine Bar Association has come out already today or yesterday, and today, very strong statement, and they have the resolution here, but I'll just quote from them. Philippine Bar Association says President Duterte's directive barring executive officials from attending Senate Pharmally probe. By the way, it's not the Gordon, it's just a Senate Pharmally probes. Because that's his favorite company, violates doctrine of separation of powers by upsetting the system of checks and balances. That includes also the COA. They said do not listen to the COA, and impairing number two, legislative prerogatives. As they say, if I say it not, Mr. President, it speaks for itself. Thank you. Senator Tolentino,
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I will not blame
thank you for
the
coming out with the very good suggestions which we will adopt,
Yes,
even
Mr.
without
Chairman.
secretary.
I will not blame the good chairman for not recognizing me in the previous hearings. Perhaps I was late or my video was not seen. So it's now a monologue for me. But Mr. Chairman, I have still have some other points to raise.
Go ahead.
The issue of presidential advisors, the Civil Service Commission should take note of this, and not just presidential advisor consultants, not just for the office of the president, but for other offices. If I can recall, the assistant commissioner, commissioner, are you still there?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is the status of this? Where do you attach this? In the career service, non-career service, temporary, permanent? How do you categorize consultants, advisors? Even one person your advisors, Mr. Assistant Commissioner.
Consultants are not considered government officials or employees because they are not issued any appointment. However, advisors, there are some who are being hired as advisors of certain officials, and they are being issued appointments. It is there where civil service rules will come, because we have a standing policy against hiring of foreigners for any position in our government.
So, Mr. Commissioner, is this part of Chapter 5 of the Administrative Code of 1987? Is there a section concerning this, or is this just a nomenclature, a creative way of devising positions by appointing authorities?
Mr. Chair, I'm not so familiar with that particular section that you are referring to. But I think the parameter here is whether the person has been issued an appointment or not. So if it is consultancy, it is not by appointment, it is by a contract. And if a person is hired through a contract, then the treatment is that of a contract of service where there is no employer-employee relationship. But if there is an appointment, then that is a government service, and therefore it should fall within the regulations for hiring pursuant to civil service rules. Mr. Chair.
Senator Drilon, I think, is raising his hand.
Yes. With the provision of Senator Tolentino, under the administrative code, the president can appoint presidential assistants and presidential advisors. And that is why in the bureaucracy, you would come across individuals appointed either as a presidential advisor or a presidential assistant. And this is authorized under the revised administrative code of 1987. Thank you, Mr. Chair, just for the information.
Yes, thank you, Senator Drilon. But then again, perhaps the Civil Service Commission should have clear-cut regulations concerning this, specifically the duration, although this is based on trust and confidence, the powers appended to the position, plus the need for oversight, constitutional oversight on the part of the Civil Service Commission, the oath of office, etc., etc. Do you have that right now, sir?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, as of the moment, the Civil Service Commission does not have jurisdiction over presidential appointees. In fact, the appointments issued by the President are not being scrutinized by the Civil Service Commission. We have no power to do that. We are limited to non-presidential appointees, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
What about advisors, advisor positions issued by other national government agencies or even the local government units? Isn't that under the?
There is no such position in other agencies, Mr. Chair, Your Honor. There is no such position as advisor. In the plantilla of positions in different government agencies, we do not see that kind of position title. I think the President is doing that because he is entitled to it under the law, but there is no similar entitlement as regards other heads of agencies in the government, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you, but I can correct you, Mr. Commissioner, because in other LGUs they have advisors to the mayors, advisors to the governors, among others. I think there should be a mandatory or a remedial circular coming from your end, with all due respect. Mr. Chairman, let me just conclude this by saying that this is going to be the capstone of my participation here in this committee hearing. I have proposed several amendatory measures like the warehousing amendment to the Procurement Act, the amendment of the Civil Service provisions of the Administrative Code, the amendment of the Procurement Act relative to the powers of the GPPB to continuously produce implementing rules and regulations, which is really against the powers of Congress. It's blatant usurpation, Mr. President, and I have filed the bill, Senate Bill 1102, promoting the procurement of Filipino labor and domestic materials, among others, Mr. President. And I propose likewise the inclusion of financial capacity under Republic Act 9184, Mr. President. And I propose, and I have just mentioned this before the Assistant Commissioner, that there should be a circular relative to advisors and consultants for the entire government machinery, not just the Office of the President. Mr. Chairman, 11 hearings na po ata tayo. And I was quoted the other day that I advised the President to continue with this hearing. I did that. I did that because, Mr. President, I still believe in the separation of powers as enshrined in our Constitution. And Mr. President, I still believe that the separation of powers should be respected, not just by the executive, not just by the legislative branch, but even by the judiciary, Mr. President. Mr. President, I sincerely believe that the Blue Ribbon Committee is a constitutional progeny, Mr. President. There can be no Blue Ribbon Committee without the Constitution. And I still believe that what we're doing right now, though some would equate this with political mudslinging, politicking, is still anchored in what is based in our constitutional precepts. Mr. President, I have advised the President to continue with the hearings. I have advised him as a friend. But let me state this, Mr. President, as a member of your committee, and I have been intently listening for the last several days. Let this be known, Mr. President, that in the privacy of my heart and in the sanctuary of the Constitution, naniniwala po ako na yung bulwagan natin ito ay hindi dapat magpalaganap ng hidwaan sa ating lipunan, bagkos dapat po ito ay magsulong ng pag-asa, Mr. President. Alam ko pong may pag-aaway kayo ni Pangulong Duterte, Subalit dapat po hindi na po dapat dito sa Blue Ribbon po ito lumaganap. This committee should be a committee that should promote hope and not despair. This committee should be a committee that would promote unity and not divisiveness, Mr. Chairman. Naniniwala po ako na ang intensyon po natin ay lumabas yung katotohanan at maglabas ng mga tamang panukalang batas na makakatulong sa ating lipunan. Mr. Chairman, sana po sa mga darating na panahon, sa mga darating na hearing, bagamat nagkaroon na ngayon ng hindi pagsipot ng mga cabinet members, maituloy po natin yung dapat gawin. Una, kung meron po nagkasala, dapat pong ma-prosecute. Pangalawa, yung mga batas po dapat gawin, dapat po maisulong. Nagpanukala na po ako ng 7 o 8. And Mr. Chairman, again, I reiterate, igalang po natin ang karapatan ng isa, and I will say this again, it refers to all, including President Duterte. Due process of law demands that those who are not present in this proceeding should not be assailed, and that includes everyone. And Mr. Chairman, uulitin ko po ito, kahit po ngayon ay political season na, none of us will go forward unless we go forward together and united as Filipinos. I hope the separation of powers would be respected. Ulit ko, igalang din po natin si Presidente Duterte, igalang din po ang Senado. Mabuhay po ang Pilipinas, Mr. Chairman. Maraming salamat po for allowing me to participate.
Thank you very much, Senator Tolentino. I just want to point out, and I think you know it as well, hindi po ako nag-apply sa Blue Ribbon Committee, Chairman. Wala po akong hiningin committee. 2 beses na po ako nag-senador. Sa akin po, tinutulak palagi yung Blue Ribbon Committee. Siguro po, nalalaman ng mga nag-a-appoint sa akin dyan na talagang parehas naman po tayo. And gusto ko yung sinabi mo, pero dapat tandaan ninyo, magrespetohan tayo, but respect is earned. The President has got to earn the respect of our people. Kung hindi niya gagawin yan, ay, hindi ko nakikipag-away sa kanya. Ilang beses ko na sinabi yan. So, wala na po ako sasabihin dyan dahil marami na ako nasabi. Hindi ito away natin dalawa. Ito ay para sa kapakanan ng bayan na pinoproteksyonan natin. And on that note, I commend you for some of your suggestions. I did not cause this rift. Nagbibiroan tayo dito. Ginagawa natin personal. I have not even filed my certificate of candidacy for any position as yet. So please do not arrogate politics always. Politics is good. It is not necessarily bad. It is people who make it bad, Mr. President. Yan ang sabihin natin dito sa mga tao. Hindi porke politician ka, masama kang tao. Ipakita mo ang kakayahan mo. At kung galit kasi itan sa tao, huwag mong gamitin yung pera ng gobyerno para bumanat ka na bumanat at siraan mo. Siraan natin yung Commission on Audit, siraan natin ang Senado, at talagang hindi naman pwedeng tatanggapin lang natin yan bilang senador na sisiraan yung ating institusyon na hindi tayo sasagot. On that note, thank you very much. I will now call on Senator Villanueva to make his representation and his questions felt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to join my distinguished colleagues, especially the head of the committee of the Blue Ribbon Committee, Senator Dick Gordon, in continuing this hearing. And I have your full support, sir. And I also would like to associate myself with the statements made by our Senate President, our Minority Floor Leader, Senator Lacson, and others for ensuring that we will continue with this hearing and our position with regards to the barring of government officials. I also join the statements made by our good senator from Cavite, the separation of powers and respect, etc. Let me also put on record, if I remember it right, when I was still a student in the University of Santo Tomas, the word politicos, politician, came from the word politicanos, which means serving
the welfare of the people, and that's what we have been doing. And again, I also commiserate with, sympathize with him that no one is around para tanungin niya yung mga questions po niya. Para po sa akin, Ginoong Pangulo, ito po ay ang ginagawa natin ay para masiguro na hindi lugi yung ating mga kababayan po nating nagbabayad ng buwis, hindi sila lugi, and ensure that our laws are devoid of any loopholes that may be exploited for corruption purposes. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, let me first ask questions to Mr. Wang Zhu Yen, the chairman of Pharmally Pharmaceutical. Mr. Yen, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm present.
Yes, in the previous hearing, I remember September 10, I was asking you these questions, and we moved for the committee to subpoena records of the payment of contributions of SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. We received certifications from SSS, for example, dated September 13, which says Pharmally only started paying SSS contributions for its employees for the month of November 2020. November 2020. Mr. Chairman, doon lang po sila nagsimula magbayad nitong government-mandated contributions. Yung PhilHealth po, ganun din ho, confirm po as of September 10, 2021. At yung Pag-ibig, if you can also show yung Pag-ibig certification, September 24, 2021. Ayan po. Sabi din ho, nagsimula lang silang mag-contribute November 2020. This is not the same answer that you have given me, sir, when I ask you if you are contributing with the government-mandated contribution. So my question, Mr. Su Yen, did you have employees at Pharmally from September 2019 to October 2020? If you have any employees.
Mr. Chairman, if I may elaborate, a bulk of our employees, just to name a few, were transferred from Philippine Biological Company as that company was defunct. I believe at that time we were paying the contributions still in Pharmally Biological, and it is a mere administrative delay.
Can I just be very quick in getting your answer? Do you have employees in Pharmally? So if it is not Pharmally, then you don't have any employees. Is that correct, sir?
I was not, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
The answer is just yes or no. If you have employees with Pharmally from September 2019 to October 2020. That's just my question, sir. Very simple question.
Mr. Chairman, I believe they are employees, but they were rightfully compensated with Pag-ibig, perhaps in the wrong entity. If this is so, I apologize. There was a transfer for some of our employees. As I said, the Pharmally Biological company was in defunct. However, we still paid. I think the company still paid.
Sir, okay, sir. You're saying there are employees, but according to these records, you were not paying government-mandated contributions. Now, do you know a certain Ana Marie Chua?
Yes.
Ana Marie Chua. She was one of your employees at Pharmally. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. When was she hired?
I don't have the exact records of that, Mr. Chairman. Apologize.
Because in April 2020, her position in the company, April 2020, her position in the company was regulatory affairs pharmacist. Is this correct?
Yes, I do believe that's correct.
Yes. So my question now is she a regular full-time employee of Pharmally, sir?
She was a regular full-time employee of Pharmally, I believe.
Okay. So again, sir, if she is a regular employee of Pharmally, as you just mentioned she is, and confirmed that she is a regular employee, with the documents that I showed you, with Pag-ibig, with SSS, with PhilHealth, you are not contributing from this government mandated contributions. So you are now confirming that despite the fact that she is a regular employee, I showed you all the documents, April 2020, she's a pharmacist, she is a what's her position again? She has a position of being your regulatory affairs pharmacist. You are not contributing for her Pag-ibig, PhilHealth, and SSS.
If I
Correct?
would the honorable senator please clarify? Is she referring to now? Is Anna Maria Chua still an employee of the company now? And the answer will be no. I think she resigned from the company. I think.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I'm asking about the dates that I have given you. I showed you September 2020, April 2020. She's already working with the company as a regular employee. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, what I'm trying to drive at, Mr. Chairman, is that indeed they are not contributing with the government mandated contributions with PhilHealth, SSS, and PhilHealth, SSS, Mr. Chairman, and other government institutions. Another question that I'd like you to answer, sir, is if you have no employees, because it seems you have no employees. Sometimes you say you have employees, sometimes you don't. Now, if you don't have employees, if you look at the general and administrative expenses of Pharmally in 2020, there, can you make it bigger there? I wanted to find out, where's this employees benefits come from? Because you don't have employees, you are not contributing to SSS, SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig. You're not contributing. So what is this employees benefits of 1.3 million?
Mr. Chairman, based on my memories, I believe all the employees, perhaps there was a delay in signing them the correct under the right company. However, they're always rightfully compensated by the companies, and also their benefits are rightfully compensated in accordance with our contracts with them. I don't think any of the employees have ever lodged a report on this with us, and if they were to, we would have rightfully addressed it. But
It's either, sir, you are fooling your employees or you're fooling the government, or both. Unfortunately, these records would not lie. Mr. Chairman, I am just stating this not only because of the fact that Pharmally only hired 7 to 11 employees. But during this time, Mr. Chairman, in this committee, emphasize the importance of hiring Filipinos first. In our Bayanihan 2, the law that we passed, Mr. Chairman, unahin dapat ang Pilipino. Doon sa statements ng CONWEP, Confederation of Wearable Exporters of the Philippines, nag-repurpose po sila. Ginawa nila lahat ng magagawa nila para maka-hire ng mga Pilipino. Pero ano ho nangyari noong 2020? Ang statement ng CONWEP, they lost 25,000 jobs, Mr. Chairman. 25,000 jobs. Ang kapalit, ito ho, hindi ho nagbibigay o nagko-contribute sa mga government mandated agencies ng kanilang contributions. At yung huling record na nakita natin, 7 hanggang 11 empleyado lamang, Mr. Chairman, yung nagawa at nalikhang trabaho. I wanted to ask you another question, Mr. Chu Yen. Last hearing, again, last September 10, when this representation asked you where you got the money to finance your initial order of 2.4 million pieces of face masks with a total value of 54 million, since I showed you the audited financial statements, I did not see any loans in your 2020 audited financial statements, and I'm sure you will confirm that. Your answer to this representation was, and I quote, "We have access to the inventories of our suppliers. And what we do is we negotiate preferential payment terms with these inventories, with these suppliers, so that we can get the stock on hand." Close quote. Just to clarify, sir, you negotiated preferential payment terms for these inventories with suppliers such as, and this came out during the hearing, such as Tiger Film Marketing. Is that correct, Your Honor?
Mr. Chairman, yes, Tiger Field was
Yes.
one of the
Now, the
suppliers.
next question, yes. So, Tiger Film Marketing is included with the number of suppliers that you were mentioning. Now, my question is, what are the terms? What are the terms under this so-called negotiated preferential payment terms? I wanted to know that because during the hearing, then USEC Lao and DOH were saying they will not pay any supplier unless they were able to check on it, inspect on it, and they were able to get it. That's the only time that they will be paying. So again, these so-called negotiated preferential payment terms, can you explain that to us?
Mr. Chairman, with some of our suppliers, what we were able to do is they would be able to supply the necessary inventories to us to deliver to the government. And we have never received a single advance payment from the government for any of the projects. And only after their inspection and their approval, when we receive collection, we will pay back these suppliers.
Yes, that's what I already mentioned, Mr. Wang Tsuyen. My question is, what are the terms with you, with Pharmally, and these suppliers with these so-called negotiated preferential payment terms? Because if I am a supplier, don't you think it is kind of weird and odd for suppliers to be giving you all these units, these supplies, without knowing whether or not you can pay because you only have 625,000 assets, cash on hand?
I believe, Mr. Chairman, we would, in some instances, we would tell them that these supplies are for the government purchases. And I believe that the common understanding is that there is confidence in the government that once conditions of the contracts are made, that payment will be made. I think the general confidence in the government is high, and therefore they are willing.
Sir, yes, thank you for that. The confidence is with the government. But how did they earn your confidence with Pharmally? I mean, don't you think it's something weird there or fishy that a supplier would give you all that without knowing that you have a backer? For instance, the Tiger Film Marketing, is that the case with Tiger Film Marketing? They are just they just trust Pharmally that despite that they are not contributing government mandated contribution, they only have 625,000 peso capital, and now first order you have 54 million pesos worth of a project, and then would balloon to 8 billion pesos. There's something there for sure that they would have that confidence with Pharmally.
Mr. Chairman, I cannot speak for the minds of our suppliers, but I just wish to state on record that we have no disputes with any of our suppliers on payments, and we have acted on all contractual obligations in good faith with the government and with the suppliers.
Okay, we will ask the suppliers later, Tiger Film. But can I ask you one more question? Other than Tiger Film Marketing, who are your suppliers, other suppliers? And is it the same similar arrangement with this negotiated preferential payment terms that pay whenever? We don't know when are we gonna pay you. And we only have 625,000 capital. And yes, we have billions and billions of projects. Is it the same similar arrangement with these suppliers? Who are these suppliers other than Tiger Film Marketing?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, it's very difficult for us at this point to divulge these details because, as we have seen in this hearing, any supplier, any name we name, they are brought to the Senate and they are scrutinized. Their suppliers are scrutinized. I ask I'll beg the question: is anything that everybody buy from the manufacturer? Is there is a necessity need of distributors or traders in this because they bear the risk, because in this instances the government pays only after full delivery, and therefore it's very hard. The company name is already dragged through the mud with this Senate hearing, but we still have our personal reputation to uphold as a business person. We need to uphold the
If you
confidentiality.
don't want to do so, I will submit to the wisdom of the chair and the committee on whether or not these suppliers will be named. Again, Mr. Chairman, we are pursuing this question only because of the fact that 25,000 kababayans natin, mga Pilipino, nawalan ng trabaho dahil hindi nabigay sa kanila itong kontrata, hindi sila na bigyan ng preferential treatment considering sila yung kababayan natin, considering ito ang nasa konstitusyon, considering ito ang nasa ating batas. Hinahanap lang natin, Mr. Chairman, yung dahilan kung bakit sa kanila ibinigay despite the fact, Mr. Chairman, na wala silang ganong kalaking kapital at muli, babanggitin ko, nakakapagtaka masyado, Mr. Chairman, na itong mga suppliers na to will trust Pharmally with 625,000 na ibigay lahat ng supplies nila, ibigay lahat worth billions of pesos without knowing what's going to happen, without knowing kung mababayaran ba sila, may kapasidad ba itong Pharmally na ito na pahiramin nila ng ganitong kadaming supply. And it's just weird, Mr. Chairman, na walang guarantor ito. Is there a guarantor, Mr. Chuyen, that you made mention with these suppliers, that you have a guarantor that in case Pharmally failed to pay the suppliers, a guarantor would pay them?
No, Mr. Chairman, based on our statements by me and Mr. Lincoln Ong, for some projects, Mr. Michael Yang acted as a guarantee with the Chinese suppliers. I don't know the exact negotiation of the form of guarantee that was made, but they were more than willing to release the goods to us and to help with the fight of COVID in the Philippines so that the goods can reach the hands. And then we would be able to pay them after we have received collection.
So in some cases, Mr. Michael Yang is your guarantor. But in other cases, who else would you say would be willing to be you're using as a guarantor other than Michael Yang? Are there any other personalities?
Based on my recollection, none.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I'd like to raise, Mr. Chairman. Again, just to emphasize, Mr. Chairman, that again in 2020, 25,400 Filipinos lost their jobs in this one group alone of local manufacturer. Ito po yung CONWEP, Confederation of Wearable Exporters of the Philippines. Tapos yung pumalit, 7 hanggang 11 lang yung employees na hire, at for the longest time hindi nagbabayad ng contributions ng SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig. Meron po talagang gaps at ayusin itong mga ito, kaya po tayo nagpa-participate sa hearing ng Blue Ribbon. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Joel Villanueva. Your points are very well taken insofar as the fact that they were remiss in paying. They only had 7 employees, but just one very quick question, Mr. Wang. Did you not feel you violated the requirements of legal, technical, and financial capability when you subcontracted it so much so that the government has to pay a higher price? Because when you subcontracted it to these 2 companies, first to Green Trans and then to Phil, you know, it grew from 18 to 23, 18 pesos to 23 pesos, and then finally you gave it to 27.70 to the government?
Mr. Chairman, if I may make a statement, I hope you don't take any offense. It is come to my understanding that all our contract offer has always been the lowest. And if it is what we tried, what, in my perspective, we saved the government money. I'm sorry, you may not agree with me, but I don't understand why, being a lowest offer company, then we are accused of rising this price. I don't think anything we purchase these days from anyone is direct from the manufacturer. It's a Coke we drink, the rice we eat. Everything has a trader in between. And I don't know why we are given the burden that their profits are our profits. We did not subcontract to them. We just mainly allocated the buyer and the resources. That's all we did.
Mr. Wang,
Yes,
Mr. Wang, is 27.70 lower than 23 pesos or higher?
it is higher, Mr. Chairman.
Higher. Is 27.70 lower than 18 pesos where you got from Green Trends and Tigerfield? Tigerfield got it for 18 pesos from Green Trends, and Tigerfield sold it for 23.90, and then finally you sold it to the government at 27.72. When the agreement was for you to be able to manufacture, that's why they asked for legal, technical, and financial capability. What are they saying that it's not lower?
Mr. Chairman,
It's the lowest. Is 27.70 the lowest?
Mr. Chairman, the price we indicated, we never indicated to any procuring entity as we never said that we are net manufacturer.
In your mind, it's the lowest. I agree with you. In your mind, it's the lowest because that was what Mr. Lau agreed on. But in reality, there was another lower bid. Yung MTC Metropolitan supplier, which supplied it for 16 Metropolitan Center for Training Corporation, which supplied the DOH at the same time 16 pesos and 64 centavos. And then there was another Filipino corporation, EMS, that supplied it for 13 pesos. And eventually they had to lose money by supplying it at 2 pesos and 25 centavos. So from your end, because Pharmally allowed you to get the contract, in your mind, they probably got the lowest bidder. But you know as well as I do that certainly, as I ask you, 27.70 is a lot higher than 23 or 18 pesos, and certainly a lot higher than 16 pesos by a Filipino corporation. I have no questions anymore on that score. I will ask you later after. I just have to have some quick questions. After which Senator Lacson will follow me because I think Senator Ontiveros had to go to a meeting. May I ask Chairman Aguinaldo to answer some questions, if I may, very, very quickly, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon, Chairman Aguinaldo. I just want to ask a few questions. I heard you say it wasn't really about overpricing that you were interested in when you did the COA report. Would that be correct? You said no, that was not the focus. The focus was really on inventory management. Is that correct?
Well, the findings were on inventory management. We did not. There was nothing in the report concerning findings on overpricing.
But you were not looking for it.
I can't really speak
We
for
are
the
here.
auditors, whether they were not looking at it or they just did not have enough data at the time to look at it.
Nonetheless, it was not the primary concern that time. You were looking at all these expired goods, and all the other things that inventory controls that you're now going to look at the special audit where in fact the goods were delivered to the provinces, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that would be part of the coverage of the special audit.
All right. And would you like to put in the overpricing as well in the special audit?
Well, they will look at that as well, issues on overpricing, because a lot of information has come out. So I would think that that is one of the areas they would also look at.
And the information came up in this committee hearing of the Blue Ribbon, correct?
Yes, that would be correct, sir.
Thank you. And you can see, I just asked the other guy a question. He was supposed to satisfy the legal, technical, and financial capability, and yet he got it for 2770, but he could have gotten it for 1660, which DOH itself bought on the same week. So I suppose that would be something that you should look at. Now, tanongin ko naman po kayo dito sa mga, ano yung scope ng inventory management issues?
Well, the inventory management concerned only the PPEs, the common use supplies related to COVID that were procured by PSDBM using their own funds. I think their funds are sourced from their revolving fund. This is because these items that were procured by PSDBM really went to their warehouse. Unlike the items that were procured for DOH, I think the bulk of it were delivered directly either to OCD or directly to DOH and its various hospitals.
Po ninyo, dineliver ito sa warehouse ng PSDBM?
Some of it, I think, were, but not all. I think some of the goods were delivered directly to either to OCD or to the different hospitals.
In fact, you're not adequately sure, are you? That they were delivered?
Yes, that's part of what we'll be checking.
Yeah, so you're not sure and that's why you're checking, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. And that's important to me. Dapat narinig ng tao yan na ang talagang hinahabol natin kung talagang na-deliver yan. Because na-discover niyo rin, narinig nyo na pumipirma yung mga tao kahit hindi nila binilang yung kanilang pinipirmahan, pirma lang ng pirma dahil nagmamadali. That would be another focus of your investigation, really, more focus.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chairman.
Now, let me ask you a simple question. Does it include accepting deliveries without purchase orders?
They would that would be part of it because they would be looking at the documentation.
Because
they're supposed. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead. Kasi narinig naman nyo, nagpapadala, wala pang purchase order, binayaran na, deliver na. And they paid them about a few weeks later.
Yes, there should be a paper trail that we call that also the audit trail. So everything from the purchase order all the way to delivery acceptance, including the disbursement through the disbursement vouchers. Susuriin po lahat yon, Mr. Chairman.
In fact, sir, yung kauna-unahang order, nandito kayo from the very beginning, sabi ni Ms. Mago, natanggap niya at 2:30 yung order, yung request for quotation. At sinabi rin ni Mr. Ong na nag-usap na sila ni Mr. Lau the day before. You remember that? March 24?
Yes, I remember, Mr. Chair.
Nakatanggap siya ng request for quotation. And by the end of the day, through the superhuman efforts kuno ni Mr. Lincoln Ong, nakakuha siya ng dalawang supplier na nagpatong ng 2 beses. Yung isa, sinabi ko na kanina, yung Green Trends, nung kinuha ni Tiger Field, na kinuha nila ng 23 pesos ang Tiger Field, pero ang kuha nila sa Green Trends 18 pesos, pero pinasa ng 27.70. You know about that now, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So that is really rank overprice and violation of the reasons why they were given the contract. Di ba dapat pag-aralan natin to na dapat hindi pwedeng sabihin na, pwede ba sabihin na wala nang due diligence required, nang mamadali tayo?
It's difficult to say that to make that statement because
you
still have to balance accountability. Yeah, you would have still to balance accountability with efficiency. There's no way that one will go out of the window. Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Kailangan pag-aksaya ng panahon na sigurado ba ito, tama ba yung kanyang capability. Madali yung legal meron lang permit, meron isang konting, pero yung mahirap, kaya ba nito mag-supply? May manufacturing ba siya? At yung ba talaga ang pakay? kukuha ba tayo ng manufacturer? Sapagkat nakalagay sa batas, narinig nyo na yung sinabi ko kanina, preference would be given to Filipinos, right? Pero dapat tinanong yon. Pero narinig nyo rin yung sinabi ni Senator Villanueva na yung nakatanggap, pipito lang yung employment na hindi pa binabayaran on time. So lumalabas talagang marami talagang violation. Pati na yung financial capability, narinig yung sinasabi nila, nangunguha pa sila ng pera kay Mr. Yang. So all that are violations. Would you say that's correct?
I would like to keep my opinion to myself for now because of the fact that we will be doing our auditors will be doing a special audit.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that the public is aware kung saan ako nanggagaling at saan kayo nanggagaling. You want to be correct and you're a respectable man because of that. Kahit na pinipilit kayo na sabihin walang overpricing, lumalabas may overpricing, but that's okay. People want to believe what they want to believe, but in reality, the end it will come. Go ahead, Senator Pangilinan, please. I would like to get questions. Sandali lang naman to. Go ahead, Senator Pangilinan.
Yes, just very quickly on that point with the chair of the COA. Magandang hapon. You're looking at supply management, hindi po ba?
That was one of the findings. Inventory management.
So inventory management. But it did not. Your team was not able to uncover, or at least discover, that 550 million pesos worth of testing kits expired. Should that have been part of the coverage of the inventory and supply management concern?
Again, it depends because the inventory was focused on the PSDBM inventory, which was in their warehouse. No, if the goods had been delivered to the DOH warehouses or to the OCD warehouse, our auditors in the PSDBM would not have access to those, and that's one reason. Auditors and look at all these questions, no, all these issues about delivery.
We lost you for a while there, Chairman. You said, and this is why.
Well,
from DBM to the DOH. Yes, if it was delivered to the DOH, and this is why.
Yes, if it's delivered to DOH, our auditors at PSDBM would not have no access to it, to the documents therein. And this is one of the reasons also for the special audit, so that we can involve also the auditors of the DOH and the OCD, and have them also look at the certificate of inspection and acceptance, and also do interviews at the same time, no, to verify if indeed these goods were delivered, if there were any issues with respect to these goods, and so they would be able to render a report based on the results of these audits.
And I assume the special audit will also include the the purchase order technical requirements and specifications of 24 to 36 months, and yet the actual delivery was not 24 to 36 months. In fact, one such delivery was just to expire in 2 months. In other words, the expiry date was 2 months upon delivery. So I assume your special audit, well, it did not include that in your earlier audit, but I assume that too will be the subject matter of your special audit.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I believe the auditors are taking note of the information that is derived during these hearings, and will include that in part as part of their audit. They would also
clarify, Mr. Chairman, just that on that point, it did the previous findings did not include or at least the data that there was a requirement of at least technical specification of 24 to 36 months shelf life, and yet what was delivered was 6 months or less. That was not part of the first report.
Yes, for the auditors of PSDBM, no, because they would not have had access to it.
Okay, thank you. Just for that clarification. In other words, a lot of information has been, how do you call it, noted and observed through these hearings, which will hopefully be helpful to have a special audit on what has actually happened. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
I respectfully disagree with my colleague. Have been uncovered. And this will help definitely.
Yes, have been uncovered. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Now, let me ask Chairman Aguinaldo, the scope of inventory management, kasama ba dyan yung issuing inspection clearances even if the deliveries are still in China?
I don't think that was included.
Okay, so we have found that out. No? May umamin na gano'n na nga nangyari si Mr. George at saka si Mr. Tangkintik, no? Na sinabihan pa sila na nagmamadali tayo. So, ang conclusion ko dyan, hindi justification nagmamadali dahil may oras naman eh. Darating yung mga supplies eh. Di ba? Pero dapat binabantayan pa rin. Another question. Accepting substandard goods, which I think is the point of Senator Pangilinan kanina, substandard na yung goods, no? Or nearly expiring goods, which we discovered voluntarily provided without any suasion, without any intimidation by Ms. Mago. They told us deliberately that they were changing and that inayos sila yung mga supplies na dumating na talagang wala na halos yung tinatawag na nasa noo yung foam at saka nangingilaw na, nangingitim na. Kasama rin ho yan, di ba, sa inyong basa ng iyong scope of inventory management issues, hindi po ba?
Well, given the information that was ferreted in the hearings, that obviously will be something that they would also look at.
At kasama rin dyan yung possibility of ghost deliveries because halimbawa, yung sinasabi dito ng COA report, nakalagay dito, deficiencies in property management. Bago yan, the term PPE, hindi talaga kwan yun eh. Hindi yung PPE na sinasabi natin na sinusuot, di ba? Ito yung property, P,
Plant.
Another P, plant and equipment.
And equipment, yes.
Tama po ba yun? Not personal protective equipment sa paragraph 114 to 153. Sinundan nyo ito ng deficiencies in property management. And I'm just quoting 9.566,727 pesos and 164 centavos. No? 164 pesos and 8 centavos. Kalagay ng 149. The non-conduct, yung hindi maayos na paraan na hindi kitinangka na bilangin ang bilangin at makadiscover ng mga kakulangan in the management of PPEs manifested, nagpapakita the failure of some OUs, operation units, to fully observe na sundan talaga yung prescribed policies and procedures promoting accountability and responsibility towards safeguarding government assets, granting loss against loss or wastage. So that is a reality that we have to face because hindi nga kinandak yung physical count and other deficiencies which you found out. On the other hand, COA again, quoting COA again, these conditions coupled with leniency, kayo nagsabi niyan, hindi ako, of the central office, CO, and operating units, OUs, in complying with pertinent rules, hindi sinisunod yung pertinent rules, have caused, nagbigay ng malaking doubt on the existence of the said assets and exposes them to loss or wastage. I did not translate that, no, na na-expose ang bayan sa pagkawala or pagkasayang, no, nalustay. Lumalabas sa internal controls established for PPEs are weak, wala talaga, especially under an OIC na tumagal lamang ng 1.5 taon, and that sound policy guidelines, systems, and processes for PPEs are lacking. Yan ang report ninyo. So nangangaluhan, malaki talaga ang dagok dito sa Department of Budget Management, particularly PSDBM. Would you say that, sir?
Well, obviously when...
I just want you to comment
yes.
on the statement.
Yes, obviously when, there's no physical count of the assets, the PPEs that you're referring to, property, plant, and equipment, there's no way for the auditors to verify if indeed, what's on paper actually exists. And this is a common problem of a lot of agencies. But that could be one of the reasons. It's possible, really.
And sir, Pwede naman naabangan yan eh. It could have been anticipated kung marunong ang management, di ba? Kung talagang gusto nilang ma-anticipate, mapaghahanda niyan. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, I would think so. It would be proper management practices.
Mamaya tatanungin ko civil service dito, no? At paghandaan na nila, yung bang lahat halos doon ay casual, pwedeng tanggalin. No? Hindi ba delikado para sa taong bayan niya na casual lahat, na pag hindi sumunod, pwedeng tanggalin, Mr. Commissioner?
Yes, Your Honor, ang nature po ng employment ng casual is emergency. So kapag hindi na po sila kailangan, pwede po silang tanggalin anytime. They have no security of tenure.
Walang rason, pwede silang tanggalin. Kulang ng pera, o
Kulang ang pera.
hanggang sa ridiculous, ayoko yung action mo, mabagal ka, masama kang tumingin sa akin. In other words, walang kailangan pakitang rason kung tatanggalin mo yung casual. Tama po ba yan?
Yes,
Take
Mr. Chair, because they don't have security of tenure.
Wala talaga security of tenure. Tama po yan. So, hindi ba, Mr. Chairman ng COA, hindi po ba delikado yun na dahil sila ay lahat inventory, nasa inventory at pwede silang tanggalin, hindi ba na-expose sila na pwede silang pahirapan kung hindi sila susunod, katulad ng ano nangyari dito kay George, umalis na sila, pati si Raul, yung kanyang supervisor, umalis na lang, nasa PNR, sapagkat talagang delikado ang security of tenure mo, pagka hindi nagustuhan yung trabaho, pwede kang alisin. And I'm just asking a very general question. Di po ba, that exposes the person who needs to bring food to the table, magdadala ng pagkain, na pag hindi siya sumunod, tanggal siya. Kaya mapipilitan siya sumunod kung mahina-hina talaga ang kanyang paninindigan. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think that that is always the danger when you have positions that are not don't have any security of tenure but are dependent on the hiring authority.
Hindi ba kayo mahihirapan naman? Ito, another question. Thank you for the answer, sir. Napakasimple lang naman tanong ko para maintindihan. Kasi pagkakuha, nahihilo ang tao kagad, natatakot kagad. Wala na sinasabi kagad. At minsan may mga finding kayo na talaga kumisan marami rin ako nabasa Supreme Court cases sa COA na talagang kumisan yung finding nyo, hindi naman nagre-resulta na nakukulong yung mga tao dahil may mga rasong binibigay sa Supreme Court. Tama po ba yun?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, wouldn't it be doubly hard for COA to verify information if the PSDBM personnel, lalo na ito mga casual, ay nag-indulge in falsifying the reports such as when they said that they inspected it when in fact they did not? Lalong mahirapan kayo sa COA. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, I think that because ordinarily someone would not admit to that kind of a statement because of the possible legal implications. So I would imagine it would be very challenging for the auditors to get that kind of information.
Lalo na itong kinuha nilang kumpanya ay 635 million lang ang pera, 625,000 lang. Hindi ba kayo nagtataka na wala kayo nakikita maaring mangyari na isang kumpanya nagsimula, nagpatikim ng bidding na nag-umpisa allegedly ng 8 million, pagkatapos nag-deliver, walang purchase order, at pagkatapos later lang binayad sa kanila 13 million plus. Magtataka ako doon. Ako nagtataka ako. Kayo ba nagtataka doon?
With due respect, Mr. Chairman, I'd rather not comment at the moment. I do not want to preempt our special audit team.
I'm just citing this. Halimbawa, parang yan yung nagsisinungaling. Tinatanong ko nagsisinungaling, tapos may ituturo. Lalabas, iba sinungaling na naman. Pangalawa, nung nakatikim na ng 13 million, at nasabi pa dito, pinasa-pasa yung kontrata na violation talaga ng pagbigay sa kanila. Hindi po ba totoo na pagdating doon sa 54 million, sumunod, lumaki bigla? Hindi po ba dapat tatanungin ko naman, after ilang araw yon, 8 days, hindi ako nagkakamali, ang pagitan 8 days. Nabigyan sila ng surgical mask contract na 2.4 million quantity. Mahirap bilangin yun, di po ba? Ang presyo ay 22.50. Dati, about a week ago, 27.72. Ngayon, 22.50. Tapos ang lumabas 54 million ang binenta. You don't have to answer it. I'm just citing this facts. Because talagang ako nagtataka po. May justification po ba magtaka ang tao? Palagi ko meron, di ba? I'm sorry. It really is a ridiculous situation I find myself in. Alam niyo, dapat sisihin ko kayo eh. Nananahimik ang buhay ko. Nung lumabas yung COA report, hindi na ako makatiis na masyado ng garapan. At lalong hindi ako nakatiis nung minumura na yung COA na tungkulin naman yan. Di ba tungkulin nyo yan? Ano ba tungkulin ng COA? Balansahin ang maaring excess ng sino man nasa gobyerno. Tama po ba yan? Na maaring
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Basically, examine, audit, and settle all accounts.
That's correct, sir. Tama ho yun. Alam niyo ako, I may not be as good a lawyer as they come, but I really believe that there are certain basic institutions that must be protected. We need you in COA. Kung wala kayo, even me, hindi ako magkamali. Lahat magkakamali. Kung lahat magkakamali, di malulugi talaga ang bayan. At pwede naman palakihin yan. Marami ako masasabi dyan na dumaan ako sa daming hirap na mahihirap yung trabaho ko. Punito ka kami ng pinatubo, umalis ang base, walang trabaho lahat. Pinigilan namin manakaw yung base. In the meantime, naghahanap kami ng trabaho, gumagawa kami ng rules. But anyway, hindi na dapat talangin yan. We can answer that in another forum. Now, yung pakita ko sa inyo, di ba magdududa tayo dito sa tinatawag natin dito na after 6 days, itong Pharmally, nabigyan na naman ng kontrata. This time, for 220 million. Dito nyo, sa loob ng 3 araw, naka 280 sa tatlong pagkakataon within 2 weeks practically. Within 2 weeks, 14 days, from 13 million to 54 million to 220 million, umabot kagad ng 287 million ang binili nila. Same company.
Mr.
Sige po.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, again, I don't want to make any opinion, but I will say that you would be in a right position to ask questions about that.
And I have. I just want to make sure that the public who are listening, dapat alam nila. And then later on, after 2 days, sir, after 2 days, from the 220 million na na-accumulate, namili sila sa BGI real-time fluorescent at ang nag-supply uli, Pharmally, ng 8,000 quantities ng tinatawag lang BGI real-time fluorescent RT-PCR, 50 tests per kit. Biglang lumabas, 600 million. At umabot na ng 887 million 860,000 pesos ang kanilang ang binigay ng PSDBM. Sa akin, ang tingin ko mukhang paborito. Pagkat sa loob ng 16 days, umabot na ng 887 million, kulang-kulang 1 billion. Di ba kahit na sino, an ordinary man, magtataka? Nakikita ko si Senator Kiko, nag-iisip Nakakapagtaka, di ba, Senator Kiko, na di naman tayo bias dito. Nagtatanong lang tayo, going by the facts. And then, sir, 1 day later, they get another contract for 688 million. Same company that only had 625,000 pesos ang pera, umabot na po ng 1.5 billion pesos in less than 3 weeks. Nakakapagtaka, hindi po ba? Hindi naman po guni-guni yan. Katotohanan po yan. At lumalabas talaga, hindi naman nyo kami masisisi na bakit ba minumura yung COA? At bakit ba pati kami, tutulong kami sa investigasyon, minumura kami? Yan ang rason ko, sir. Hindi naman ako nahuuto sa inyo. Hindi naman kayo pwedeng mauto. Matalino pa kayo sa akin, di hamak I'm sure.
Dito man po.
Sabi ko lang talaga, para malaman. 1,575,000,000 in less than 3 weeks, sir. And then, ito pa, after 1 day, tumabo na naman ng 300 million. Napakaswerte, ano po? Umabot na sila ng 1,875,000,000. And then, nagpahinga ng konti, Parang Panginoon, on the seventh day, He rested He rested after creating the sun, moon, and the stars and everything. Umabot na naman ng 2,880,000, naghinay-hinay. And then 4 days later, on May 8, eto na ang bulto. Ang binili po, 3.82 billion pesos worth of PPEs sa parehong kumpanya. Pharmally, starring Lincoln Ong, starring itong mga ito. Di ba kayo nagtataka, madaling bumili pagka ganyan na ang kinikita nyo? Yung dating 1.8 billion in 4 days, because of the 3.82 billion na binayad sa kanila, 3.82 billion, umabot na po ng 5 billion 697 million 966,000. Nakakapagtaka, ano po? Hindi ko na ho kayo sagot tatanungin dyan dahil I think nakikita ko naman na lahat, no? Tahimik si Lincoln, tinitignan ko yung kanyang kuhan, mukhang talagang, mukhang mabigat na ilusyon ito. And then, 32 days later, in June 9, 20, namili na naman sila ng RT-PCR na test at namili na naman, ito na naman, 2 billion 877 billion. Ano po? Wala naman ako sinasabing overpricing yan. Ang tinatanong ko na lang dito, nasa lugar na ako ng fraud, waste, and abuse. Siyempre, hahanapin ng COA yung fraud, waste, and abuse kung meron ganyan dahil masyadong paborito ito. Lalo na kayo, abogado rin naman kayo at nakalagay dyan sa tinatawag nating anti-graft law na merong advantage na binibigay sa isang kumpanya. Would you say that may advantage na binibigay itong si Lau dito sa mga taong ito na in less than 2 months, naka 8 billion 574 billion na sunod-sunod? You don't have to answer that. Tinatanong ko lang ho ang madla. Ano po? Tinatanong ko lang. Di ba, Senator Kiko? Kaya ba sagutin yun, Senator Kiko? You were chairman of the Student Council of UP, you were a lawyer, etc., etc. Siguro naman, kung ikaw estudyante, magwawala ka na dyan, di ba?
Kaya siguro hindi pinapaharap yung mga pwedeng magpaliwanag.
At iwas ang iwas, di ba? And then finally, nakalagay dito, the Commission on Audit shall have exclusive authority, subject to the limitations in this article, to define the scope of its audit and examination, establish the techniques and methods required therefore, and promulgate accounting and auditing rules and regulations, including those for the prevention, pagpigil, and disallowance of irregular, unnecessary, excessive, extravagant, or unconscionable, wala nang konsensya expenditures or uses of government funds and properties. Binasa ko lang po yan, sir, para to remind all of us na yan ay trabaho ng COA. Nasasaktan po ako, pagtapos kayo minura-mura, tatanungin ng isang kasama namin dito, wala naman sinabing overpriced. Medyo simplistic ata yun sa akin. Simplistic yung dating sa akin, na parang nakikita ko kayo talagang siguro, ang dami tumatawag sa inyo. Never mind, you don't have to answer that question. Marami nagpe-pressure siguro sa inyo, and I can see that because I know that. Ako ngayon, gulpisarado ako. Ikaw ang may kasalanan, yung nilabas yun na COA. Hindi naman ako nananahimik ako nung nilabas nyo yan. Hindi naman ako nag-aanunsyo tatakbo ko, pero lumalabas nga, tinira na kami ng tinira. Siyempre, nung tinira na yung Blue Ribbon, tinira na yung Senado, hindi naman ako papayag na babasusin na lamang ang ating constitutional bodies. Hindi naman ako papayag na babasusin ang civil service na mag-a-appoint ng foreign advisor, senior foreign advisor, na banyaga. Hindi naman ako papayag sa ating bansa na sasabihin ng ating Pangulo na naku, dapat kumampi tayo dyan. O, sasabihin niya doon sa mga mababait na Chinese katulad ko na ang tatay nila Chinese, ang tatay ko Amerikano, pero pinili namin mag-Pilipino. Pero yung propagandist ng China sinasabi, ang Pilipinas ay hawak na ng China. 70% ng mga negosyante rito ay hawak na ng overseas Chinese. What he really means is he's claiming the Filipino-Chinese here as overseas Chinese na kayang-kaya nilang tapakan ng ating bansa. Nakakasakit. Ako nasasaktan. Ewan ko kayo, nag-aaral kayo sa kabilang eskwela. Lasal kayo. Di ba? Pero nagpunta rin kayo sa UP, hindi po ba? Sa UP tayo natuto ng realidad ng buhay, di ba? Lahat ng klase ng tao nandoon. Hindi na tayo kanya-kanya may mga pero nakikita nyo na talagang hindi naman tayo makakapayag ng ganyan. At nagpapasalamat po ako sa inyo dahil alam ko nahihirapan kayo sagutin pero the questions are fair and I hope you will look into that and we will already have a report soon. And magpapasalamat rin ako sa Commissioner ng Civil Service because kayo ang taga-tanggol eh. Kayo, yung dalawa kayo, tanggol kayo. Ako, kinukuha niyo ako. Kung ipapaliwanag ko po. At kaya ko po ipaliwanag. At kung talagang kuhan, ako ba makukulong kagad doon? O di ba, tatanggin muna ako. Paano ginawa niyo dyan? Magtatanong lang ako po, yung bang COA, ibig sabihin ba noon, silaw lang lahat ang may kasalanan? O pwede yung mga back, pwede yung mga department heads, tama po ba yan? Pwede yung inventory management, nagkamali. Pwede yung sa warehouse, nagkamali. Sasama lahat sa COA. Tapos pag siningil nyo ganito kalaki, lahat yan, paghahati-hatian kung sino may pananagutan at pagpapaliwanag. Tama po ba yan?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Kasi sinisingil ako ng 146 billion ni Mr. Duterte. Sorry po hindi ko kayo sinasama sa away. Para lang makapagpaliwanag dahil wala akong programa gabi-gabi Pero ang sinasabi ko lang po, sana maghunos dili ang presidente natin na huwag naman ganon. Na talagang ipaliwanag para matuto ang tao. Ako'y nagpapasalamat sa inyo dahil it was really an education for me studying this. And now I hope yung mga tanong ko na-educate ang tao sa tungkulin ng COA na napakahalaga, sa tungkulin ng Commission on Civil Service na napakahalaga. And thank you, Senator Tolentino, for raising those issues na napakasailan na maglalagay ka sa corridors of power doon mismo sa palasyo ng isang banyaga na nagsisinungaling sa committee na sinasabi, hindi na ako nakikialam dyan nung dinala ko pagkatapos ngayon inaamin na siya pala ay garantor. Mahirap hindi umiling. Alam ko sa loob ng inyong isip, nakikita ko inyong mata, umiiling sa loob ng inyong utak pero hindi nyo maipakita dahil tungkulin nyo pa ang gagawin nyo pa. Ilan po ang gusto kong tanongin sa inyo and thank you very much, sir. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat po.
I will now call Senator Lacson. Sir, Senator Lacson. And then the last one, Senator Marcos. Wala pa Senator Lacson. Senator Dillon, we just go back again. Go really to Senator Soto. Senate President Soto, do you have any questions, sir? I guess it's we haven't had our lunch. Senator Dillon, are you there? In the meantime, habang wala pa Senator Dillon, Senator Pangilinan, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is Mr. Dargani present?
Mr. Chairman, I'm here.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Dargani.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
In the previous hearings, if you were able to monitor, there was a letter, an exchange of letters between DBMPS, Pharmally, as well as the DOH regarding the delivery of testing kits. And a number of them, the communications were signed by you. Do you remember signing these documents about delivery of testing kits?
Yes, I do remember signing documents,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. The DOH said that the shelf life of these testing kits were 6 months. Are you familiar with that? Because you were directly involved in the delivery of these testing kits. Is that not correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I believe the shelf life was 6 months for these manufactured COVID-19 kits.
Yes, but the technical specifications were 24 to 36 months. You're familiar with that?
Mr. Chairman. I'm familiar with that.
So how did you end up delivering testing kits that had a shelf life of 6 months or less? If the technical specifications were 24 to 36 months, were you not worried that your deliveries would be rejected?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We did raise this concern with the right agencies. I just have to check which one in particular did we raise it to. Was it the PSDBM or the DOH or the RITM for this matter? I don't recall. But just like what they said, it at that time these products were new. It is a new virus. So there's really no manufacturers giving 24 to 36 months shelf life for these test kits. And I
Did you
think this was
have,
a request to them.
because you have communications about rescheduling the delivery. In fact, this is one of your documents that was submitted to us, no? But there was no communication about the technical specifications, whether or not these technical specifications provided would be amended or set aside, or between you, Pharmally, and the DBMPS or the RITM
I
or the
will have
DO.
to check in specific if there was any communication, as this was long ago. I really don't remember if there was any communication in particular to the shelf life. I will have to check the records, Your Honor.
So you're not sure if you had anything in writing, but you were earlier saying that you raised this concern.
Yes.
Because obviously you would be delivering items that were not compliant. Is
Correct.
that not
That's
right?
correct, Mr. Chairman.
But you don't recall writing it down.
As there's many letters that I've, many documents that I've signed. I don't recall all the documents. I would like to refer to our paper trail if there is any in
Yes.
particular.
But this is a total of 4 billion pesos worth of testing kits with very specific specifications of 24 to 36 months.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we wouldn't join the bidding again, or we wouldn't be able to deliver again with a new contract if the procuring entity or the end user were not happy with our shelf life. So, like what my partners have reiterated, it's not just a one-time 4 billion contract. It's a span
Yes,
of
yes, I
multiple
understand.
contracts.
My point is, you did not see, or you can't remember whether you signed anything that would have at least covered, for the first delivery, for example, you could have been rejected outright if you didn't provide the right technical specifications. But then you delivered it anyway, and they accepted it anyway.
I guess they also maybe that they also accepted it is because they are also aware that the shelf life really for these test kits are 6 months, as admitted by the end user and by the procuring entity as well in the previous hearings.
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, uh, it's actually a bone of contention, no, that in fact, unfortunately, the DOH isn't here because the letter of the DOH explaining why they accepted the 6 months despite the fact that they had technical specifications of 24 to 36 months is that it was a simple letter saying that because manufacturers said there was no 6 months, there were no available testing kits that was beyond 6 months.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Let me finish. I'm not done yet.
Sorry.
Thank you. And I had wanted to ask the DOH, where are the negotiations or minutes or representations of these manufacturers who are claiming that only You know, the only test kits available were test kits that had an expiry of 6 months because it's COVID, etc., etc. And it's also unfortunate. Are you familiar with the storage requirements of the testing kits?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, and you confirmed that your testing kits required a 25 degrees to or minus 15 to minus 25 degree storage. Is that not right?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Okay. Are you familiar with testing kits that would have allowed for 25 degrees plus 25 degrees centigrade rather than minus 25 degrees centigrade? You were dealing with a lot of suppliers.
Yes.
So
sorry,
yes.
Sorry, I did not get your question clearly.
You're dealing with a lot of suppliers on testing kits. Is that not right? Yeah.
Sorry, we only have two for the PCR test kits. We only have two, which was the Merxes and the BGI.
Yes, yes. No, but yes, that was what you had. But you are familiar with other brands in the market, are you not? I mean, I suppose you would have
I'm familiar with
compared.
some, yeah. Yes, I'm
Yes.
familiar with some brands.
And some of them would require not minus 25 or minus 15, but perhaps, well, in one instance, I'm told there are testing kits that would require positive 25 degrees. Are you familiar with that?
That I'm not familiar with.
Okay. Yes. So, Sansure. Well, are you the exclusive distributor of BGI? Were you the exclusive distributor of DGI?
We're non-exclusive.
Would you know of other distributors of DGI in the Philippines? BGI? Did you have are you familiar? In the last hearing, we mentioned this. We raised the question regarding Philippine United Technique Corporation. Are you familiar with this?
I just learned about it during the last hearing.
You just learned about it during the last hearing.
Yeah.
So before that, you had no dealings with Philippine United Technique Corporation?
We have no dealings with them.
You, Pharmally?
Me, I don't have any dealings with PUTC or Philippine United Technique Corporation.
Because at one point, based on the documents that we have gathered, they were the exclusive distributor of BGI in the Philippines. So my question is, if they were, as they asserted then, this was in 2020, assuming that they were the exclusive distributor, then I would think you would have dealt with them when you delivered the first batch of BGI testing.
We have our own distributorship certificate from BGI. So
yes, but that's 2021. Wasn't that 2021? Because Mr. Udayan
for 2020.
Okay. Anyway, the reason why I'm raising these questions, Mr. Chairman, is because we do have the Philippine United Technique Corporation Board of Securities and Exchange Commission papers, and we also have shared with us email sent by a certain Mr. Dennis Manalastas, sent to the BGI. Who is the BGI manufacturer, Mr. Mohit?
Sorry, sir. May I get
Who
the question
is
again?
BGI manufacturer? Your contact.
I have no contact with the manufacturer. It's actually Mr. Ong who is in contact with the manufacturer.
Okay. And Mr. Ong has. So it was you, Mr. Ong, who contacted BGI, the manufacturer. Is that right? Mr. Ong?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
And they're based in where?
BGI China is a Beijing Genome Institute, so they're based in China.
Okay. And did you have any contacts with their local distributor here at one point? Philippine United Technique Corporation. Kilala mo ba yung kumpanyang yon?
I directly contact with BGI with regards to the supplies. For the second question about the Philippine United Technique, yes, I do know about the company Philippine United Technique.
Because the Philippine United Technique, according to emails that we were able to gather, represented themselves as the exclusive distributor of BGI in the Philippines. And BGI Beijing responded to this exchange of emails by pointing to Dennis Manalastas of Philippine United Technique Corporation as the sole distributor of BGI in the Philippines. So you know of, you have dealt with Philippine United Technique Corporation?
I have not dealt with, but I know that company.
And paano mo nalaman yung kumpanya na yun?
Your Honor, it's I think it's under us for the from the previous hearing you mentioned that Dennis is from Full Wind, so he's from Full Wind. So I cannot say it's connected with Full Wind, but I know that company.
Okay. You know Dennis Manalastas?
Yes, po, Your Honor.
How do you know him?
He's a counsel of Full Wind.
A Full Wind.
Yes,
Okay.
po, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So you have not had any dealings with Dennis Manalastas on supplying BGI?
No, Mr. Chairman. No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Ong. And you know Rose Nonlin, no? Of course.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yes, po.
Yes. Jason Uson, kilala mo rin?
Yes, po.
Yes. Gerald Cruz, kilala mo?
Yes, po, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Jackson Lao.
Yes, po, Mr. Chairman.
So you know all of them. How did you know all of them? Ami Nono Clokingan.
Hindi po, that one, hindi po, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Pero paano mo nakilala sina Jackson Lao, Gerald Cruz, Jason Uson, Rose Nonolin?
Mr. Chairman, I was the translator of Mr. Yang. So these people are working and connected with Mr. Yang.
Okay, okay. Thank you. And we will submit this to the committee, Mr. Chairman. We have here the Securities and Exchange Commission document of Philippine United Technique Corporation. And the GIS period covered June 30, 2021 is as follows. Included would be as stockholders information, Philippine Following Group of Companies Incorporated with 75,000 shares common, Rose Nonolin with 8,750 shares, Jason Uson 8,750, Gerald Cruz, Jackson Lao, and Ami Klongkingan. So 75% of Philippine United Technique Corporation is owned by Philippine Full Wind Group. And like you said, Philippine Full Wind Group, and you said you were the translator of Michael Yan. That's why you know all of them. Tama, no?
Yes, po, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We will submit this because there are some clarifications here that I think we need to pursue. The other document that we have, and for the record, the Philippine United Technique Corporation, there is a certificate of filing of amended articles of incorporation. We were able to dig this up. It's signed by a certain Director del Rosario, Company Registration and Monitoring. And this is dated the amendment to the articles of the Philippine United Technic Corporation, amending the articles of incorporation, submitted to the SEC, was adopted on March 27, 2020. No? Alam natin yung date na yun, March 27. Parang 2 days before yung delivery ninyo, hindi ba? Yung unang delivery ninyo. And for the record, what was amended by Philippine United Technic Corporation was its secondary purpose. And the secondary purpose that was amended was, and I quote, to engage in the importation and wholesale distribution of medical equipment and related peripherals, accessories, and consumables, and medical supplies. As amended in a joint special meeting of the corporation on March 27, 2020. So, what we have here is information that Dennis Manalastas sent emails to BGI in Beijing, saying that he is this exclusive distributor of BGI in the Philippines. And we also have Polwin being 75% owner of Philippine United Technical Association. And of that, and on March 27, 2020, Philippine United Technic Corporation amended their articles of incorporation so that they could engage in the importation and sale. And that's why, and the unified registration record, yeah, andun na, legal at full win, Mr. Dennis Manalastas. He was the one who also paid for the fees, for the, yeah, for the SEC fees, Dennis Manalastas. So, Mr. Chairman, we will be submitting this to the committee. I believe we should shed light as to the role of Philippine United Technic Corporation in the importation of BGI testing kits, if any, and who did they deal with locally. I am not convinced that Mr. Mohit Dargani and Mr. Lincoln Ong are telling the truth regarding not knowing or not having dealt with Philippine United Technic Corporation. And I think it would be good for us to subpoena Mr. Manalastas or invite him so that he can shed light. I will also reiterate, when upon our questioning, Mr. Owayan of the DBMPS was quick to say that he never saw Philippine United Technic Corporation in any of the documents that he signed. And I raised the question as to, he had to refer, he would say he needed to refer to the documents because of the need to confirm whether in fact the question, he had to, as a response to other questions, he had to refer to the documents or ask that he be allowed to refer to the documents. But as a response to the question on Philippine United Technic Corporation, he immediately denied that he ever came across Philippine United Technic Corporation. Putting all these together and considering that the names are very familiar among all these corporations, I think we need to pursue this, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman. We thank Mr. Lincoln Ong sa mga sagot niya and Mr. Mojit Dargani. One more question for Mr. Dargani.
Chairman.
Yes. There was one instance wherein you were being requested by DOH to delay the schedule of deliveries of your testing kits. Is that not right?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
and you gave a proposal as to the delivery schedules. I mean, the proposed amended, adjusted delivery schedules. Is that not right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And yet you did not comply with the proposal, the adjusted delivery schedule dates. Is that not
Uh,
right?
we we complied on the dates that were agreed upon.
There was one communication wherein you were asked to deliver in March because there was so much supply, but you disregarded this and went ahead and delivered in January of 2021. Is that not right?
I guess it was after we suggested the dates that they accepted it.
Yes. And in November, you delivered testing kits that were set to expire in 2 months. Is that not right?
I believe for this particular testing kits that we're referring to for the 2 months, we have long ago given the RSD for it. But what Mr. Wang or one of our partners were trying to explain was these test kits had versions. This is particularly the one from Singapore. They had versions. So every time that there was an upgraded version to it, we had to seek an approval from the RITM. So on our end, we have complied with the RSD. We were just waiting for the end user to accept it, and it went on to by the time it was accepted to 2 months left of the kit.
Under more normal circumstances, that should have been rejected. Di ba? I mean, because it was
I guess so, but I guess also the manufacturer was coming from a point wherein these are the upgraded kits, and if the end user did not want them, then we would have given them the older version.
yeah, but with a 2-month expiry.
If it was the older version, then we would have given fresh goods.
Well, my point is that these technical specifications provided for 24 to 36 months. You delivered a number of deliveries even under 6 months. There was one for 4 months. There was one for 5 months expiry. And now we find ourselves in a situation, and this has been admitted, that 550 million pesos worth of testing kits expired in storage. So this is precisely why that happened, because what should have been rejected because of technical specifications were not rejected. And you said, Mr. Mr. Dargani, that you can't recall whether there was anything in writing regarding the 24 to 36 month specifications. You delivered it anyway without, well, hoping maybe, I don't know, hoping that it will be accepted and not rejected for being in violation of the technical specifications, or you were given an assurance. In the local language, kayong mag-alala, bahala kami dyan. Tatanggapin namin yan, basta i-deliver ninyo. And bingo, the bulk of the expired testing kits worth 550 million came from you. 550 million pesos worth of useless testing kits that you provided and delivered, even beyond the technique, even going against or inconsistent with what was written in the purchase order. So I hope you understand where we're coming from, Mr. Dargani. And we're trying to figure out why at the very least, 550 million pesos worth of testing kits expired, the bulk delivered by your company, for some strange reason accepted by this government, by the administration, by the DBMPS. And we end up...
I just want to emphasize, Mr. Chairman, if I may, with all due respect, that the 2 months kits that you were talking about, I think this is only 177 kits, if I'm not mistaken. It's not the full 550 million. I'm not sure why the DOH or the RITM has that much inventory that went to waste. That's really beyond for me to say. But all I can talk about is the 2 months that you're referring to, which we had to wait for the amendment of order from the end user.
You may say 2 months. Yes, that was one. But you also had 4 months. There was another one that was 5 months in expiry. All in not non-compliant with the purchase orders.
Yeah. With that, because the manufacturer only produces 6 months shelf life. From the
Well,
time it comes out,
that is your
from
allegation. That is your allegation, Mr. Dargani, because we do have bid offers here, documents saying they were offering it 12 months. In fact, you delivered a few months. The government delivered or purchased 2 months later, 10 months shelf life. So you know, 2 months after it bought from you, it bought from Mirxes directly, and Mirxes was providing them a longer shelf life. So you know, I hope you understand. You know, you can't provide me the documents as to you can't remember if there are documents about you renegotiating. This is a negotiated contract, hindi ba? And because it's a negotiated contract, if the specifications have not been met, there should have been either rejected or renegotiated. Nothing of that sort happened. Nothing of that sort happened. You know? And when you were delivering it, at the point of delivery, you know, they were making negotiations for a longer delivery period. You disregarded it and delivered anyway. I mean, at least in a number of deliveries. It's like there were no rules, Mr. Dargani. Unfortunately, what was set out and written they were disregarded. You know? And where are we? Where are we? So I hope you understand. We're talking of billions of pesos that have been spent. That if it were spent correctly, maybe many more lives could have been saved. Less infections could have taken place. Less severe illnesses would have happened. But because testing kits went to waste, here we are, unable to, hindi natin, diba? Hindi na natin ma-manage ng tama yung pagsugbo sa COVID, kumalat na ng kumalat ng kumalat. So I hope you understand. I have no other questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Pangilinan. Senator Drilon, please. You're on mute, sir. You're on mute.
Okay, sorry. First, question to to my good friend here. What's your name? Anyway, you know, Mr. Dargani, you are the envy of the business sector. To be able to translate 625,000 in capital to an 11 billion in sales. I assume you have no MBA, Mr. Dargani. Meron ka bang MBA? Wala naman.
No, Mr. Chairman.
No, Masters of Business, wala naman.
No, Mr. Chairman.
But you have an MBA by Baker ako.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Oh. You see, Mr. Chairman, this Mr. Bargani has stayed abroad, has refused to come back here, and face all of these problems that our country is facing. You know, Mr. Dargani, in your conscience, you have fleeced the Filipino people of billions of pesos, which could otherwise be used for vaccines, for ayuda, and there you are. I know where you are now, enjoying the fruits of what you did to the Filipino people, including giving 10 million to your girlfriend and arranging that she becomes a supplier of all of these documents. You know, I have to say this. because I think I would reflect the frustration of the Filipino people when you when you were able, sana po, when you were able to translate 625,000 to over 11 billion in sales. That should be in your conscience. You can dispute that you did it legitimately, etc. Nobody will believe you. I'm telling you that the Filipino people are so disgusted with what they have seen in these committee hearings because of your because of your actions in connivance with some government official. You were able to freeze public coffers of 42 billion, or yes, of 10 billion. But having said that, how much was just your total purchase orders that you received from PSDBM? Total for Pharmally.
I believe we already submitted the detailed breakdown of this,
Yeah.
but on my memory,
Yes,
on my memory,
subject to confirmation from the record, because you're not here. Just so we can proceed with this discussion. How much was the total purchase order? Without saying that that is accurate, it's subject to confirmation from the written records. But more or less, how much?
I believe it's around 10 billion.
10 billion. 10 billion extending up to June of this year.
I believe so.
Yes, okay. All right. Taking that, how much? So all of these were delivered. All these medical supplies, etc., were delivered.
All our contracts with the PSDBM have been fully delivered. We only
Okay.
have one contract that was put on hold and possibly for termination by the DOH.
Possibly for
termination. I'm just basing on the news articles that I'm reading online.
Okay, okay. But of the 10 billion or so worth of purchase orders, which you said were all delivered, how much payment have you received? Have you been paid for everything?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right. How much have you been paid?
I believe we have been paid approximately around 8.5. Again, this is just approximately.
Yeah, approximately 8.5. So you have a collectible of roughly 1.5 or thereabouts billion.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Given all of this controversy that you generated, would you defer collection of all of this until the end, until this issue can be resolved?
I cannot
Or are
speak
you
on behalf
insisting?
of the company. I can only speak for myself. I cannot speak on the behalf of the company.
Okay,
This is
yeah.
something that the board needs to decide, Your Honor.
Who is in the board?
Mr. Lincoln Ong, Mr. Wang Chuyan, my sister, yes, and other like our legal counsels as well.
Yes. I think it is sufficiently established that you control the company, Mr. Do-It.
I
Now,
don't
I'm
control
just
the
asking
company.
you, okay, would you recommend to your board that we suspend first the collection of this amount from public funds, given the controversy that it has generated?
I will have to defer this to the board's decision. Really, it's just not my
Yes,
decision. I
yes,
will have to bring it up with them.
yes. I'm not saying that it's your decision. I'm asking whether you will recommend to your board that you
I will
defer
not.
collection.
The recommendation shouldn't actually come from me. I believe the recommendation, if anything, should come from the chairman, because I'm
Yes,
just a
you
member.
are a member of the board, Mr. Dargani. I'm asking you in your personal capacity as a member of the board, you would recommend the suspension of this collection? No.
I believe the goods have been delivered in good faith, and so I believe that we should be compensated for our deliveries.
All right. I just wanted to publish on record that you are insisting that you should recover the remaining 1.4 billion. Okay. Uh, Mr. Ong, just for the record, uh, to the question, how much did Mr. Michael Young deliver to Pharmally as his assistance to Pharmally by way of a loan or advances or whatever? You would still not be able to tell this committee.
Uh, Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman
Yes.
and Senator Drilon. I'm sorry, I have to stand by what I said last time. Yun po.
What did you say the last time?
Hindi ko po pwede i-disclose.
Okay, yeah. I know, I'm just Mr. Lincoln Ong. If you do not know it, we are continuing to establish the legal basis for your continued detention because you will be detained and detained until you answer our question. And let me tell you that that's not my opinion. That is the opinion of the Supreme Court, and you can tell your lawyers that until you answer our questions, answer it truthfully. The Supreme Court has ruled that we can detain you, just for the record. All right, now. Okay, can I go back to Mr. Dargani? Mr. Dargani, yes. Because your sister is not yet around. Is that Mr. This,
I think she's resting. I'm not with her, so she's resting,
okay.
I believe. She
Okay,
was having panic attack according to my mom.
Okay, okay. Now, the committee requested for documents upon my request to support the uh, volume of sales as appearing in your financial statement to be 7,485,401,046 pesos. We have not received this, Mr. Dargani. Considering your access to your officers, would you be able to submit these documents to us?
I believe, Mr. Chairman, our legal counsel has responded to the letter provided by the Honorable Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman, Senator Gordon.
Yeah. And you're saying that you cannot furnish this to us.
For the docs that was specifically requested from me and my sister, yes, we cannot furnish those.
Yes. The company itself cannot.
Yes, the company itself cannot. That's correct.
Now, what about this unrealized foreign currency gains? We ask for some particular. How much is the foreign exchange cash asset of the company to be able to make an entry of unrealized foreign currency gains of 62 million 300 232,031 pesos, 31 and 31 as foreign exchange gains. Would you be able to tell us how much foreign currency assets your company had in order to generate this kind of an entry of foreign exchange
Actually,
gains?
Mr. Chairman, it would really be best for our accountant to answer this question, as I'm not an accountant. I was not the one who
Yes.
prepared it.
But your accountant is hiding.
I don't believe so. I don't know if he's
Okay.
hiding.
Okay. Because we cannot serve the subpoenas on you guys.
Our accountant is an outsourced accountant, so his office is not really in Pharmally's office.
Who? CBL? The CBL?
Mr. Jeff Mariano, who was
Okay,
mentioned.
where is he? Do you know where his address is?
I don't have his address. I have his email address, which I can forward to the committee.
Okay, can you forward to the committee whatever you know,
Yeah.
whatever you can?
I'll forward
Sige,
I'll forward
okay.
his email address.
you don't have access to the deeds of donation right now, where you
No,
are?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any access to documents right now, Mr. Chairman.
Where are these documents?
These documents should be at the company's the office at the company.
Where is
With the
that?
company.
Where is that?
It's at should be at Fort Victoria.
Fort Victoria. Okay. And where are you now, Mr. Dagani?
I'm right now in my friend's house in Pampanga.
Where? In?
Pampanga.
So you're in the country.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I see.
I manifested that I came back to the country 3 hearings ago, I believe.
3?
3 hearings ago.
3
September.
hearings ago. I'm sorry. I must have missed that. Thank you very much. Okay, so you're in Pampanga. Can you commit to us that as president, as corporate secretary, you would bring these documents to us? Because as corporate secretary, you are in official possession of these documents.
This one I can recommend to the board, but our board will have to unanimously approve me submitting any documents.
I did not realize that submitting documents to the Senate would require a board approval. I can understand that you have taken certain legal positions, but now you have included approval of the board. I don't accept that. Mr. Chairman, I need Mr. Owayan. I assume he is not around. Is Mr. Owayan around? Attorney Owayan?
I didn't see him earlier. Mr. Wayan?
Is there anybody from PSDBM?
Mr. Lau is there.
No, from PSDBM, the present.
Present.
Yeah, wala.
Mr. Chair, before just a quick manifestation, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Senator Pangilinan.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just a quick manifestation. To those who are not present in today's hearing, we will see you in the budget hearings. So, so we may raise these questions in the budget hearings. We just wanted that manifested so that these missing government employees are made aware that we will see you again sometime. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I have a lot more questions, but many of these would be addressed to or would be answered, will have to be answered by PSDBM, and they're not around. So, can I have a 1-minute suspension to review my notes to see kung sino po ang pwede kong tanungin? Because Pharmally is also putting defenses that they cannot produce anything. If they think they can frustrate this committee, nagkakamali po sila, Mr. Chairman, because I think we have enough at this point. We have established so many facts, but again, I am as frustrated as probably our people that we could not get into other areas that we would want to get. So, Mr. Chairman, may I ask for a 1-minute suspension to figure out whether I can draw certain answers from those who are present here. 1-minute suspension, sir.
Hearing is suspended for 1 Senate minute.